song start.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening. Very good evening from Japan. And good morning to Boulder.
Good morning from Boulder.
Good morning.
This is the switcheroo.
So, ladies and gents, yeah, we're streaming at opposite ends of the clock, and it's Saturday night here, and I can tell you, Anne, it is a beautiful Saturday. It was rainy here. Maybe you won't have the rain, but I can assure you that it was a great Saturday, and you have a beautiful Saturday ahead of you. So there's always that. We're living in the future. I have that special perspective.
I know. I love that so much. You had a funny line last time we chatted about the morning and the evening, but I can't pull it out of my memory right now.
Well, here, let me kick this off. Okay, so this is our Read Icculus, Read Icculus. And for those who are in the know, Icculus is of Phish lore, and Anne and I are old Phish heads, and we got together online, or just as old pals back in the Boulder days. And Anne's in Boulder, I'm in Tokyo, and I spent a decade in Boulder before I came to Japan, and that's how we know each other. And serendipity smiled upon us this morning or this evening, depending on where you are, because sitting next to Andrea, who's been on our little program here, Read Icculus, for the last couple of weeks, is our dear friend, the legendary. It's an honor to have you here, Dave Watts. What's up, Dave? So let me just, Dave, so amazing to see you, dude. It's been like I think we've had a couple of hellos here and there, but it's amazing to get to hang out for a little bit online with you. Dave is a Boulder institution. He's a musical institution in and of himself. I'd say you're probably like the Boulder institution of music. I don't want to like fill your head too much, but like
been here
Dave,
a long time.
He's been there a long time. And Dave, the reason that we know Dave is because he came to Boulder, I think, via a band called Chakra. Was Chakra the first band that came to Boulder?
Ever? No.
of your yes. Chakra was the very first band to come to Boulder ever in the history of mankind. And Dave is
that song, Green Eyed Lady. Yeah. That was a Boulder band.
What?
Yeah, they're called Sugarloaf.
No way.
And they're big. They're big. They had a hit song.
Green Eyed Lady.
Yeah, it's a really cool song, and it's really well.
Dave, I feel like you're from Texas. Are you from Texas?
What?
Is that right?
How dare you?
No. I know, but you're from you're the East Coast, but I feel like you've also got you're an East Coast plant. What? Give me the backstory a little bit.
Plant?
I think that's what he said.
Did you call me a plant?
No, I said give me the backstory a little bit. Yeah. So okay, here. Let me Trey Anastasio, hold on, Trey Anastasio, who we love from Phish. He's from New Jersey. He's from New England, but he's also was born in Texas. That's why I'm making that connection.
Oh,
so okay. Trey, he's born.
Really?
He's like from Dallas. Yeah.
Wow.
At least he's born.
Okay,
sorry to interrupt.
I could step in and just do a little
go for it.
So Dave and I have a child together, Milo Watts, which sends us back over 20. Well, our son is 19. He's home from college. And Dave used to live in Boulder, but he moved to Golden. So now when he has gigs in Boulder, we pop out the bed out here in the studio, and we like when Dave is safe. So I'd rather he sleep over and give him coffee in the morning and etc. But we go back. And we talked in episode 1 about how we're adjacent to the Phish adjacent music scene. And Dave, having been in Chakra in the 80s?
Late 89, I think we started. I started with them.
They were
around. Yeah, they were already a band.
Chakra can every once in a while be heard in a Phish parking lot somewhere on tour. Yeah. Alpine Valley. I heard Chakra in the parking lot.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I think
Chakra was composed of Dave and Edwin, and who else? Who else was in Chakra?
Felix Rentschler, Dan Kutu.
Don't fuck this up.
It was a 4-piece. It was a 5-piece. How many members? Okay.
Yeah. We had a singer, Jeff Grove, who played saxophone. So,
but it was like a proper it was a proper early 90s band.
Yeah,
It was in
we were
this like
jam band
weird
bands. We
yeah.
before you said jam bands, you just said bands that jam.
Did you?
Yeah. We are a band that jams. And then it became jam band. No one said jam band.
No, that's true. Trey has talked about that. That term didn't exist.
We had a Phish connection because our bass player Edwin used to teach Mike he taught him how to slap and pop 80s.
That's crazy.
Funky bass. Yeah. So that was our connection. And then Phish gave us their mailing list the first time we decided to go to Colorado.
No way.
Is that right?
Back in the day, like if you wanted to have a leg up in the competition, you actually mailed little cards that looked like, postcards, and you like get your friends to come over and buy a bunch of beer, and then you like sit there with like, all your friends like licking stamps for fucking 3 hours.
That's fun.
Yeah, and so we did that with Phish's mailing list the first time we came out to Colorado. And we like sold out every show.
I never knew that detail.
Oh yeah, that was.
So
and we
I just saw a postcard. I think it was a grant, a request from the university from Don Strasberg to somebody passing out checks that said we've already raised $1,400 and we just need an extra $500 to get this band Phish here. Did you see this somewhere, Andrea? It got posted online somewhere.
No, I have not seen that. But
was that who you reached out to?
Resourceful dude, that Don Strasberg.
Oh yeah.
So you came out to Colorado with Chakra. You're Phish. Edwin. So Edwin's connected to Berkeley, which is or New. What's the story? Boston, I guess. You're a Boston guy. Is that the story?
Boston. Yeah, it's all Boston. The Boston music.
The Boston scene.
But like the Boston scene was like rock, pop rock, Pixies, punk
Pixies
rock.
Are from Boston. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was that whole scene. But then like I remember like graduating Berkeley and then hearing Phish on WERS radio and college radio, because college radio was an actual thing back then. And and I was like, damn, these dudes are good, like really good. And then I was like, that was the beginning of like the whole thing. It was like, wow, do it yourself touring and music that was like, kind of like inventive and wasn't following formulas, and the hippie scene. I was like, wow, there's still hippies. When I joined Chakra, I was like, what?
You were a hippie.
I was hippie without a
let's set a little bit of a
song. He was a hippie with a skirt without a seat. Oh, come on. That's a great one.
Okay. I've seen those pictures, Dave. It's true. But
the profile
but to set the standard here, Dave, you're one of the most accomplished drummers that we all know, and again, not to like embarrass you, but like you have some of the most prowess of all drummers across the whole country, if not the world, behind your kit, and you've been at it for a long time. And I think the stuff drum legends are made of. And when you say that, and I'm not the interviewer here, but like you said that Edwin was teaching Mike Gordon of Phish, the bass player, how to play. Are you guys older than Phish? Are you younger than? Are they your peers?
I think they're a few years older than me, but same age as Edwin, maybe a little bit.
Okay, so Edwin's got a few years on you.
Edwin's 16.
Okay, because he might be like,
Edwin is just a touch older.
Same, we're all the same.
They're 60 wonderful.
So then Chakra comes to Boulder, and it's a 5-piece, and you and Edwin somehow end up evolving into this other band called Skin. What's the background on that evolution?
Well, we lost our singer in Chakra, and then it was like, what are we doing? The typical scenario. And I was like, okay. Happens to the best of us. And I was like, I'm gonna stop going home from Colorado. I'm just gonna stay.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Basically, like, not technically, but like basically, like my brain had already like moved here before I did. You know what I mean? Like we played out here and I was like, I'm just staying here because this is the best. I took some mushrooms and like went up in the mountains and it was just like, oh my God, I could live here. This is, I could start a scene here. This is amazing. And Boulder was popping off back then. Denver was like nothing, but Boulder was
Right.
insane. And I used to
Right.
play like 25 nights a month in Boulder and Ned. And that's it. You know what I mean? I didn't have to go anywhere. Just around here, I would play tons of shows and make a living, and it was amazing. You know, the 90s in Boulder were killer.
They were killer. I showed up in 95. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah,
And
really.
I lived downstairs from Mike Hamill, who booked the Boulder Theater for years and years.
Yeah.
Well, actually, who started out like postering there and like, you know, cleaning the toilets or whatever he did. He started out doing nothing there and then ended up running the place within a very short amount of time. And he said, you know, just constantly got me backstage, constantly got me into tickets. And one of the bands that I saw repeatedly was Skin. And yeah, the front, well, the whole band, it was, you know, it's two females and the other two members of Skin. We've already mentioned one, Edwin Hurwitz, and also Maya Dorn, who's also another musical amazing, you know, human, and who's still out there making music, and Stacey Ludlow, who's very close and near and dear to me, which is kind of like how this whole story gets a little incestuous and gets a little bit complicated, but
it all happens at Dot's Diner and the Boulder Theater and the Fox Theater and in Volkswagen buses across the city.
Dave, I have great memories of hanging out at I don't know if I ever actually hung out at Double Dig. There was this whole scene in Boulder called Double Dig. But I definitely knew the Double Dose guys.
Oh yeah.
That was like weird. Like you thought you were hanging out at Double Dig, but you were actually at this like granola potluck.
It could have been something like that, yes. But also I remember hanging out at hold on a second. I remember just the Mountain Sun. Like Mountain Sun. I saw you guys a bunch at Mountain Sun.
I was just there last night.
Oh yeah, I hope everybody at Mountain Sun is doing good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a popping off little scene. It was good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, every night we would basically go see. You guys were playing every other night, and we would just go see so much live music. And it was kind of like a different lineup every night. It was like there was vocals and instrumentals, and there was like a heavy rhythm section, and there was a big drum thing, and there was the West African dudes. Who were kind of involved, and I know you've got your musical drumming roots are, I'm sure, from kind of all over, from jazz, from West Africa, from it's impossible, I'm sure, to sum up in a couple of minutes, but like where does the roots of the drum come from for you?
Oh wow!
I suppose this is turning into an interview. I know you weren't I knew you weren't prepared for this, but.
The roots of drums for me came from Kiss.
Kiss, there you go.
And Bonzo.
Wow. Kiss, John Bonham, and Ringo Starr. I actually didn't like get into Afro-Cuban until I moved to Boulder, which is ironic.
Afro-Cuban, right? Okay.
But there was quite a bit of Afro-Cuban, West African interest. You know, I wouldn't say there was a huge scene, but there's a lot of people that we were having fun with it. You know, me and Scott and James studying Bata and going to Cuba and all that stuff. That was a cool beginning. That's really the beginnings of the motet, was like our interest.
Well, we should talk about the motet, because we've talked about Chakra, we've talked about Skin. Skin was not really a short-lived band, but it was a little bit of a flash in the pan. And then I don't know exactly how it scattered and went into different things, but then the motet came to life, and the motet is maybe your longest running project, I guess. Motet's at what, 20 years old now?
27 years.
27?
Oh my god, 27 years old. That's amazing.
27 years. I'm like, you know what, this is like it's almost
as old as Cass.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, I think we're still doing it in some levels. I'm like, you know, if we didn't keep,
are you sure 27?
27, like 19.
Yeah, it's got to be 27. That's
Jamie Janover gave me a recording, a cassette recently, or a recording, a download of a cassette that was us playing. You know, I say us, it's me, and then like all the other, Evan was in the band at that point, and Jamie, But it was us playing the very first Motet gig, Dave Watts Motet, at the Southern Sun Halloween party.
No, not Southern Sun,
Mountain Sun Halloween party in North Boulder in the warehouses.
Oh, this is a great story.
And they had they were brewing up mushroom beer. So you go to the keg and you get some beer, and it was fucking infused with mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms. And it was like,
I have a vague memory of being there. Very vague, but yes.
I was not there. I was like nursing a baby at that point.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a good point. It's a good thing to mention that it is the Motet, but it is really Dave Watts's Motet, because you've been at the helm of that band. It's a drummer led band essentially, which is kind of a rare thing in popular music. And but you guys have had like an amazing rhythm. I mean, the foundation of the Motet, I always think it's like a rhythmic band before it's anything else, but you have an amazing rhythm section. Garrett is still playing bass in the Motet.
Oh yeah.
And Scott Messersmith is still playing. It's like can't come and go. I don't know. It's kind of like I know you mentioned Jamie Janover a little bit ago. Just to kind of paint a picture here, the music scene, as you kind of we were all getting to, it's like it was so vibrant, and there was so much cross pollination from all the bands. And I remember like one night it was Jamie Janover on stage with you, and the next night it was Jan Zingber, and the next night it was somebody else, and the next night it was the Maya Dorn and the Bata Pete crew, and then it was like it just constantly this really vibrant music scene that was, I feel like drums were at the center of it.
Well, like, I was saying before about Chakra, where we lost our singer and then had to start over again and blah, blah, and like the drama. I kind of like started the Motet being like, well, I know it's not going to keep the same members, like members will come and go because that's just the story of life. But the least I can do is keep the name the same, so the branding isn't like starting over again with a new band name and all that crap. So like, honestly, that was a concept from the beginning, was like, as members come and go, which has been the case this entire time.
Mo people.
Yeah, mo people. Like, it's just that's kind of the concept with Motet, is like, it's
mo people.
The spirit of the band is there regardless of the band members. If they need to come and go, then that's okay. So.
Well, I think anybody who's spent a little bit of time in Boulder or spent a little bit of time in Colorado, because I kind of consider you, I know you guys have toured all over the country, but like I've seen you also fill Red Rocks up, and I've over the years, since I've left and since I remember your, you guys playing the Mountain Sun, when I see like you guys filling giant rooms up in Colorado, I'm just like, yeah, that's awesome. That's the Motet. Those are my homies. Yeah. So you're a hero to a lot of us, and it's just it's really cool to get to hang out. Let me ask you about something real quick. You mentioned Jamie Janover, who is who's who's a percussionist, but who's also a little hero in our community, and he's a wicked. We joked the other day that he doesn't play the hammer dulcimer; he is a hammer dulcimer, and he is also one of the minds behind Zilla, and one of the minds behind Sonic Bloom, and one of the minds behind Realms and Burning Man, and it goes on and on and on. Jamie's a very prolific, creative dude, and I think he's on a Phish. I think he's credited on a Phish album. I forget which one it is, but I think if I go through the names, somewhere on one of them, it's thanks to blah 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 blah, and maybe Edwin's in there as well. And you're not in a Phish record, are you? You're not
live recording.
I don't know. I have no idea. Did you ever jam with this guy? No. What I was going to ask, we go. Yeah, I want to know if your music worlds ever overlapped. But I also want to know what your thoughts on John Fishman. But tell us like how the early Phish days, the earliest that you can remember.
Chakra opened for Phish like 3 or 4 or 5 times.
Get out.
Yeah. We opened for Phish. We opened for. Because we would play we had this house called Neptune. It was in Newton, Mass. And the guys in Phish would come over after they played the Paradise. They get a school bus full of their fans from Berlin, come down and pack out the Paradise. And then they come to our house afterwards for a late night hang. When I first joined Chakra, I was like, whoa, what is this scene? And I had no idea who Phish was besides that one time I heard them on the radio. I was like, these guys are good. And then like I remember just seeing Fishman down on my kit playing in the basement. I'm being like, this guy. I said, this guy's the Einstein of drums. That's my quote for
Really?
Fish. Yeah, like the Einstein of drums. He was just so like, felt so meticulous and like heady, you know, even though he had feel, because Einstein had feel, you know what I mean? He wasn't just a nerdy scientist, but he had a scientific vibe about him when he was playing, and very like, yeah, still to a certain degree.
Hot take.
Yeah, and so we opened for Phish 4 or 5 times, and
Wow.
so Jamie played hammered dulcimer in between their sets at the Capitol Theater. Like a tweener kind of thing.
Is that where the balcony almost fell down?
I don't know. Did it?
Albany or the Cap?
Oh, I don't know.
I thought you told me this.
Oh, did I tell you?
Sorry.
Me.
Wow, that's really, so that would have been what, 87, 88, 89, something like that? 89, you said Chakra Start. Is that
90, 90, yeah. Early 90s.
So I'm going to say a thing. Dave, tell us about your foray into Phish cover world, which is you're playing tonight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, talk about this, because you were saying some interesting stuff about the music that I think would be cool. Yeah, just like trying to learn Phish.
Yeah, Brian, the first time I've ever had to learn, not had to, but like my first opportunity to learn Phish was this week, working on Phish tunes for a gig I have tonight up in Ned.
That's so crazy.
Yeah,
that's serendipitous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of like, I'm curious. So you're playing a gig tonight or this week, you said, and it's like Phish versus Dead. Like those two bands are intertwined together, and you've been tasked with learning. What songs have you gotten to learn?
We're learning. We're gonna play "Slave to the Traffic Light."
Nice.
Which isn't that a Dude of Life song?
Say again.
Isn't that a Dude of Life song?
Slave a Dude of Life song? It could be. It might very well. It sounds like it's Dude of Life. I don't know about. Actually, I don't know that. I know. She's bitching again.
Yeah.
She's bitching again. I know. I don't care about anyone except myself. Do you know that one? Do you remember that one, Ian?
Yeah, that was like a
Dude of Life's a legend, but I don't know. Slave very well could be. Slave, I bet you it is. I'll look it up. Keep talking.
Dave, I think you went out on tour with the dude.
I toured with Dude of Life.
Get out. Are you serious? That's so cool.
Evan did too.
That's funny. Man, the Dude of Life is sort of... how do you describe Dude of Life? Dude of Life is in the Phish lore. He is a sort of instigator of mayhem who was he famously wrote the song Susie Greenberg and about his ex-girlfriend. And who did, I don't know if you caught wind of this, Dave, but the Susie Greenberg actually went to her first show like a week ago, or excuse me, a tour ago.
Yeah, it was a couple years ago at MSG, and one of my college friends was hanging out with her at the show, and they opened with Susie Greenberg. I was telling Dave this other day, and Trey like sort of introduced sheepishly the song and like shout out to Susie who's in the crowd, and
because the song kind of disparages her. It's she needs to get.
The song is disparaging, but you know, it's like there's the real and then the hyper real, and so real Susie, I'm sure 30 years later or whatever, she's got to get over it, right?
You're right.
My friend Brad.
You're right, Dave. Slave is a Dude of Life song. That's awesome.
Deep cut knowledge.
Nice, Dave.
We're playing Free.
Nice.
That's a cool song. We're playing I don't know, man. Not good with
that's all good. Well, that's another thing I wanted to ask you about. I don't want to take all your time, but like, it's funny, like all you Boston guys, all that whole scene, that whole sort of Boulder, Boston transplant scene, New England transplant scene. It seems like you guys were all like in the family dog of Phish, and yet none of you sort of like are head over heels for them, like Andrea and I and a whole bunch of other people. But you're on the albums. You knew the guys, that you partied with them. They came to your houses. You opened for them. But the fact that you're kind of like, Andrea and I could probably, you know, to list off show stats of the songs that you're going to be playing tonight that you know, it's like a so were they not, did they, I mean, I know you said that you thought that they were impressive and that they were good, but like how far down the rabbit hole did you go, and how, I mean, why or why not, maybe? Is there, I mean,
that's a good question. I don't know. I think for musicians, there's always a little bit of a reaction to a band that like has this over the top cultish following.
Right.
100%.
A little bit of,
it's just like
okay.
a little bit like,
Too
all
cool.
right,
You're
take it
too
easy.
cool for school.
Yeah,
But we took you last year to Dick's. Last year?
Yeah.
We had a blast. They played this epic, my friend. We had Deb Delman there.
Yeah.
My cast was there. There were so many friends.
Oh yeah. Half the reason to go is see your friends.
Yeah, totally. You fish a bunch.
Yeah. But yeah, there's no, I don't know. I was never, like I said, I was never into the Dead either. I didn't even realize they were still a band until I joined Chagra. Like, well, the Grateful Dead still plays music. And, you know, I don't know. I was into jazz. What can I say? Jazz and.
I hear, whenever I think of you as like you're kind of one of your main influences, and I could be way off here, is Tower of Power. I always think of.
You funk.
Yeah, Tower of
P-Funk. Okay.
It's the pinnacle, you know, to a certain degree.
And but you guys had like much like Phish, you guys had legendary Halloween shows. I remember being backstage and some crazy shenanigans going on both backstage and on stage. And
really?
Was it right? You guys, what do you guys do? Don't you do something? I mean, don't you guys covered some? Didn't you do it? Oh, I lost them. I lost you guys. Whoops, they dashed off somewhere. I think if my memory serves me right, the Motet crew covered another band's album. It's in its entirety, much like Phish does for their Halloween gigs. Let me send Andrea a little text. Okay, this is fun. Talking with Dave Watts of the Motet. Am I the one who fell off, or are they the ones who fell off? Hey, we lost you. It's Saturday night party at the Peterson house. Well, I hope they come back. There they are. Okay.
I don't know what happened.
Okay, you're back.
We're back.
All right, nice to have you back. Yeah. Well, man, I mean, Dave, you know, it's just like, I have to say, like, you know, every time it's so great that like the Boulder community of like music people and like, I don't know, just friends that, you know, music loving friends is so tight and so cultivated and mature and healthy. And but I have to say,
healthy, Dave.
Yeah, well, you're you know, the trunk of the tree, you know. I gotta say, like, I love you like a friend, but I also love you like a hero, you know. So to have infiltrated that world a little bit, you know, and to like have gone and sat on the drums or on the bass when the band was off, you know, having some drinks or whatever. I was like, oh, I think maybe I'll go tickle these keys a little bit. That was always such a thrill. And I know Andrea, I'm kind of almost speaking for both of us, because we were kind of the runts of the litter a little bit, and it was fun to just kind of like,
we were the cutest
look at us, we're hanging out with the freaking rock and roll stars.
Oh yeah,
it's so crazy fun.
Yes,
just like pretending, like faking it till we make it. It was fun.
Well, now Anne's carrying the mantle. She's got her.
I know, it's amazing.
Like, crushing.
Thanks, Dave. That's so sweet.
With Edwin, no less.
And Scott.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Wrangled Scott Messersmith, and Edwin from the get-go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Thanks.
Yeah,
appreciate
that. Well, here's the plan, Dave. We want you to, thank you. Actually, thank you not just for being here today, but thank you for like welcoming, you know, a few of us misfits into your little world. And I mean, I don't know how we exactly elbowed our way in. Well, I know
I
exactly
had to have a baby. No,
I'm also guilty as charged. But at any rate, it was a fun time, and I look back at it with like great fun memories. Yeah, amazing. We had and it's still going. I'm just not. Yeah, I'm a million miles away, but it's great to live.
We're gonna come see you. We're gonna come visit you out there.
No, I'm gonna come visit you. I'm definitely coming to visit
Let's
you.
do both,
Let's
so
do
we
both.
can. Yeah. Let's definitely do a
Well,
thing.
Dave, how can people find? How do they find you? I see your amazing posters, and I see you're playing out all the time. But like, what? Just go to motet.com or something. Where do they go to know? Yeah.
Motet.com, Motet, the Motet on Facebook.
Okay.
I have no idea. I don't mess with
The
that.
Motet.
The
Or
Motet.
Dave Watts.
Dave
on
Watts.
You're on Instagram.
Dave Watts Motet.
If you never heard of Dave Watts and the Motet, and just be warned, be prepared that you will walk out of a show like exhausted. You will have boogied.
Oh,
You will have boogied your butt down so hard that you will get a damn good night's sleep. I guaranteed. So
well, let me do a little plug because Davey,
Okay.
I want the info anyway. Davey is playing an after show over the Folsom Run in Boulder, and you guys are playing the music of Jamiroquai at Boulder Theater. What night is that? Third, fourth, or fifth?
Fifth.
Plus 20, right?
Plus 20.
Andrea Rawson plus 20. We got a lot of friends coming in. Friends
are gonna be there.
It looks like we lost Bryce. So.
Oh no, I'm here. I'm just off
You were
screen. Yeah, I'm just reading some of the comments. There's some people saying hello. I mean,
let's see.
Let's just say 40
guy.
minutes in the house. Hello, librarians. We're gonna do some reading here in a little bit. Hannah Hardwood Flooring. Do we know them? Hi, Andrea, Dave. Long time. You guys must know each other.
Nice.
And my boss saw Phish in '91 at frat parties in Lafayette, Purdue. Wow, cool.
Yeah, I love the comments. It's fun to read through.
Blew my mind as they came around all the time. Wow. Oh, so Grateful Dogs. You've got Grateful Dogs in the house. We know he's kind of ahead.
Yeah, no.
2 years before I got to see him 2 years later, they were blowing up. Yeah, very cool. Let's see. All the way. Brian Lolo. What's Brian Lolo? Do we know that? Is that it could be me. I'm not sure. My last Dead show was 93 after I saw Phish. It was hard to miss those shows. Yeah. No. Hannah and Chris from LA, says Hannah. Hannah is Chris from LA, maybe. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Amazing. So Dave, have you even heard about what's happening? Do you know what this little get together is about? It's like, did she explain to you?
Oh, you read articles and then talk about Phish.
I guess so. We're figuring it out, but it was like
nerd out. We nerd hard.
Yeah. So I queued up some articles.
Here's my question you can ponder as I did my homework. Why is Paige so low in the mix? All right, I'm done. That's it. Just think about that.
Love you, bud.
Nice question. Mic drop. I love it.
Rolling that one around.
Hey, you tune in later because the last article that we'll read, if we make it all the way to the end, will answer your question. It will answer your question, Dave, and you'll love the answer. You'll love the answer.
There you go. Okay. I love you, Brian.
Love you too, Dave. Amazing to hang out. Super. Come back around sometime, man. It's just great. I want to hear more stories of the Motet, and amazing. It's so fun to hang out.
Come to Colorado for 4th of July weekend.
Yes.
The big
Count
deal.
me there.
It'll be fun.
Oh, yeah? You're gonna come out? Is he coming?
No, not yet. Yeah. We gotta monetize our videos.
I'll get him. There you go.
For a summer tour.
All right. Later, buddy.
All right. Cheers, dude. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Man, awesome. So cool.
Yeah,
so cool.
That worked out awesome. We've been talking about wanting to have a guest on. Thanks.
What a legend, man. He's the coolest. Dave Watts.
He's all right. Listen, I mean, Dave and I, oh God, we've been in it a long time, and we got our son into college. We got our son home from college. We can really hang out and enjoy each other these days. It's really pretty awesome. I feel very blessed.
Yeah, me too. Actually, just by proxy, he's such a cool dude. Great memories.
Yeah, no, I get a little extreme sometimes, not like politically, just like party wise, but that's. Davey's got
come on.
He's got the charm.
He's all over the place. He definitely does.
He's a rock and roller. He's an amazing drummer.
Truly.
That man turned me on so much music. Probably, I don't know, 60% of what I love now is like through the lens of Dave Watts. So that's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Brian, let me just close the door of my studio because they're doing construction out there. Why don't you introduce what we're here to do today?
Okay. Well, I don't. Yeah. Let's see what happens. I don't know how this is going to continue to go, but I hope that we can. I hope that there's enough out there to sustain this. But the written word, basically, we stumbled upon this amazing essay that was written about Phish that was months and months in the making. We read it and had such a good time reading it that we thought we'd repeat the fun, and we did it again, and now we're at it yet a third time. And I thought, Andrea, that we'd set the bar so high on the first piece that we read that we would never be able to replicate the writing prowess or the
That could be true. Yes.
but I don't know if have you pre-read today's homework?
No, I had to go back to work after
okay.
I left because I was like, oh shit, I forgot to print my articles.
Well,
I might have set off an alarm at Boulder High, but
I have not
pre-read anything, so I'm and it's like in the morning. Thank God the coffee's kicking in. But yeah.
Profundity is the only word that is coming for you that you just might need to have to look at it. Yeah, that's the only one. There's no over. No, profundity, I think, is the only one that I remember reading.
Right on.
But so we pulled up 5 articles and thinking that we'd go on for a while and maybe we'll read them all. But my thought was that we just don't leave any stone unturned.
No left turn on stone.
Yeah, thank you. Whatever I'm saying. Yes, thank you. Yes. And I have an order that we should. So I found some great articles. Some of them are recent. Some of them are not recent. But I think as this continues on, it'll be fun to kind of look back at some of these earlier articles that were written about Phish at a time when a whole bunch of Phish history didn't yet exist.
Yeah.
And to see what's come along. And a few of these articles really illustrate that point.
Yeah, that's sort of retrospective. How does everything age as we look backwards with hindsight is 2020 kind of a thing?
So I think what we've done before is basically we've taken paragraph for paragraph or a couple paragraphs and I'll take some turns reading and you'll take some turns reading. And a couple of the articles are a little bit short and a couple of them are a little bit longer. A couple of them are interview. They're kind of all over the place. But I have an order that I think we should kind of read them in.
Oh, great. I'm glad you have an idea for this. Let's hear it.
So there is an article about nectars, which Dave mentioned. I don't know if Dave mentioned nectars. He mentioned Paradise. That's a Boston club. I think it's a famous Boston club.
Yes, and he mentioned the app as well.
And Nectars is famous for, and there's a little tiny short, it's hardly even an article about Nectar. I suggest we read that one first. Great. And then there's another. Yeah, that one's kind of current, but it's just get us going. And then there's another piece about the Rock and Roll Hall snub, which we've already talked about, but there's a couple little insights in here that are kind of fun to read.
Which one is the Nectars?
Yeah, let's read the Nectars one first, and then what's the next one? Is this one?
Trey?
No, not Trey. I want to save Trey for the third one. The Trey one's really good. There's an interview with Trey.
This is the longest, so good. I'm most excited.
So then let's read the Trey one as the sort of the meat of the articles, and then let's go to Fishman and let's read about Phish, and then let's end the thing with Page if we can get all the way. And if we can't get through Page, we'll save Page for last time. But there's a really great. Couple of great articles. Yeah,
you want to go backwards in time because the Page article is originally the oldest 2007.
Yeah. Yes, it's the oldest.
John Fishman, Worst Kid in a Band, is from 2015.
Yep.
Then we've got the Trey,
literally it goes backwards.
Yeah. Backwards down the number line.
Down the number line.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. I promise. I gave it a little bit of consideration.
Great.
So I'll just start here, and I'll this one's going to be over quick, but I'll just. You want to start? Why don't you start? Been hit hard. We've been hit hard. It's hardly an article, but let's just get going. We've been hit hard. Nectars to close for the summer in June.
Yes, by Chris Farnsworth, published May 8th, 2025. And I think that we're like a week away from Nectar's closing, so this is interesting. Maybe 2 weeks. All right. The legendary Burlington music venue will close just shy of its 50th anniversary. Club representatives stress that the closure is expected to be temporary. Oh, my God. Just shy of its 50th anniversary, legendary downtown Burlington bar and music venue Nectar's has announced it will close for the summer in June. In a statement released on Thursday, General Manager Tyler Nettleton, and booking agent Ryan Clausen stressed that the closure is expected to be temporary and that they were pressing pause as we navigate the immense challenges facing downtown Burlington and the music scene in general.
The truth is, we've been hit hard, Nettleton and Clausen added. The Main Street construction project has taken a heavier toll than we anticipated. And the cultural heartbeat that once defined downtown Burlington has grown faint. Few people are walking the streets. The energy has shifted. And for a small independent venue like ours, that change cuts deep. Burlington's Nectar Rorus is the dude's name. Burlington's Nectar Rorus opened
Gotcha.
Nectar's in 1975. The club became a fixture in the local music scene and famously helped launch the jam band Phish in the mid-1980s. The band named its third studio album A Pitcher of Nectar in tribute to Rorus.
I didn't realize it was a guy's name.
Yeah.
You knew that?
And actually, I knew. Yeah.
Oh, I never knew that. That makes a picture of Nectar way more interesting in my mind.
Well, yeah, I keep going, but I know that his face is on the neck.
Yeah, well, that's right? Now I'm sort of putting it together. 30 years later. Here, wait, turn it because your light is. Yeah. So that's Nectar Rorus. All right, cool. I love when we learn new things together. All right, from the early days of hosting the Unknown Blues Band, Pine Island, and the End Zones, to the 90s era of Chin Ho, Wide Whale, and The Pants. That's one of my nicknames. The Pants, to the Kush and Grace Potter in the early 2000s. Nectar's has long been a focal point of the Burlington music scene. The club changed ownership in 2003 when Roars sold the business to Damon Brink and Chris Walsh. Walsh bought out Brink in 2008. In 2022, Ed Mayer and a silent partner took the reins. As of January, Mayer is no longer involved with the club. So real quick, does that mean that the person who owns Nectar's and is making the decisions is the silent partner who we don't know who it is?
I don't know, and I don't think this is really much of a news story, to be honest, especially if the thing is going to open up a little bit later. But it's, I think it's the town was quiet. They needed the story. So, but yes, I don't know if there's anything nefarious going on, but.
Well, no, let me speak to that, because the whole thing is that there's this downtown construction project. And I know maybe Tokyo, giant worldwide city, everything is always happening all the time. But interestingly, in American main streets, downtown businesses and local businesses are really still in this catch up post-COVID in the US. Downtown Boulder is having a similar sort of issue, skyrocketing rents, a living wage for hourly employees in restaurants, in clubs, kids not coming out as much. I mean, things close in downtown Boulder at 10 p.m. Where are people going? That was not how it was in our day. And I've talked a lot with Kevin Daly at the Mountain Sun about this. How do you keep a business going when people are not coming downtown? So it's just, I think it's actually kind of an interesting American Main Street story. So I will say that.
No, I agree. And I think, I don't know what it is, but they say that, young Japanese guys aren't getting driver's licenses at the same rate that they did when it's the lowest driving license rate. And it's because guys don't want to drive cars.
My son does. He's 19. We're like, dude, get a driver's license. Don't you want to go do things? I mean, I recently got an electric bike, so there's that. But My son is one of those Japanese kids that doesn't have, well, but he's not Japanese. But there's a big switcheroo going on in the millennial, or no, my son is, there's Zoomers, the Gen Z. I don't know,
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting. Anyway, go on then.
Okay. In recent years, the club has focused more on nationally touring jam bands. That's interesting. So it's not, with less of an emphasis on booking local talent. The upstairs club, long known as Club Metronome, was renovated and renamed the Lounge at Nectar's. The Lounge at Nectar's last year. Both venues will be closing following the conclusion of this year's Burlington Discover Jazz Festival.
While not providing a specific date, Nettleton and Clausen, okay, so they're still involved. Nettleton and Clausen emphasized in the statement that they expect to return. This is not the end. Should we make a Red Rocks? This is the end joke. For over 50 years, Nectar's has been a launch pad for artists, a haven for music lovers, and a cornerstone of Burlington's creative soul, they said. We've hosted thousands of bands, kickstarted careers, and created millions of unforgettable moments. We've witnessed magic on stage, built friendships in the crowd, and poured our hearts into every show, every meal, every note. We believe in what Nectar stands for, and we believe Burlington still needs places like this. Spaces that nurture art, foster community, and keep the music alive.
Nectar's last show before it closes is Texas jazz fusion artist Blake Dynamite on Saturday, June 7th. So you still, if you're in the Nectar's area, if you're in the Burlington, New England area, go see the. But it's the reason I want to kind of like read this, and the reason I didn't want to just skip over it is because in the following articles that we'll read, Nectar's gets mentioned a couple of times, and it's and like us talking about the Mountain Sun with Dave tonight, that was in a way like a Nectar's for us, the same way that like the Full Moon Cafe was for me when I was in Tulsa, or even the Boulder Theater or the Fox Theater. These places are like, they really do, make our communities. I mean, they say here and here, they build friendships in the crowd, poured our hearts into every show, every meal. We believe in what Nectar stands for. So I don't know, like anybody who's like forging, especially these like local venues who must not be making much. I mean, these guys can't, and people quitting and refrigerators breaking and deliveries late, and like it's got to be a giant labor of love. But to salute to all the venue owners out there who are trying to keep the places open for live music. And all I can say is, I hope Nectar's I would love to visit Nectar's one day, but it'd be like a kind of a visit to Mecca of sorts, right? Phish Mecca. Like, this is the place where the Phish famously played there like 3 sets a night for months on end. And that's where they, that's their, where did the Beatles play? Hamburg. That's their Hamburg, essentially. They played every night and honed their chops and practiced all those songs to a little tiny audience. And I won't steal my own thunder, but they Nectar's gets mentioned, and it's important enough in the band's history that they made an album called Picture of Nectar, and this is the dude Rory Norris.
This many years old when I have finally figured out who is that strange man on the orange peel.
Yes, and just for to show, I mean, this is not one of my favorite particular, like, this isn't a favorite record, right? We love Riff, we love Hoist, we love Billy Breeze, we love Nectar, of course, too. But somehow this one kind of gets a little bit, you just jump over it. But it has Llama, Eliza, Cavern, Poorheart, Stash, Manteca, Gula Papyrus, Megillah, Landlady, Glide, Tweezer is on Nectar.
Dude,
the Mango song
album. These are the songs you want to hear in the live setting, played at the record tempo, like a fucking like off the chain Llama. You know what I mean? Landlady, so clean. There's some great compositions.
And Reprise. Tweez or reprise. What do you say? Do you say reprise or reprise? I say reprise.
Reprise.
Yes. Isn't that funny? Right?
It's so. What are some?
Nobody
of the
says reprise, do they?
Versus Rogue.
Rogue. What do I say? I don't even know what I say.
I know.
But you know what? I will tell you that on that one, I have my Phish bill from Loaded Halloween, and that's the one that has the article for Rogue, the
Oh,
hair, the dreadlock treatment.
maybe that's
And
what
so,
Dave needs for his shiny bald head and the
and
little
so I
Rogue.
think it is Rogue
Rogue.
rather than Roger or whatever
I
else we're saying.
I think there's a series
And
of lot t-shirts that sort of speak to that. You were gonna say something, but I do want to mention one thing before we move on to the next article. So I'll pass it back to you.
yeah,
I know it is.
no, I just was gonna say Chalk Dust Torture is on here.
Oh,
Is that
with the
right?
weird, deep Trey
Yeah,
voice.
yeah. It's like sped
Something
up and then slowed
speed of the
down. Yeah,
recording.
yeah.
So interesting. Yeah, yeah. Um,
And which is
so
one of their like most heavy duty rocking songs. I'm listening. Keep going.
oh, well, it is like the anthem of teachers, Chalk Dust Torture. I think I've mentioned this before, but there's this great Facebook page called Chalk Dust Torturers. That is a group of fish head teachers. It's the best place on the internet. If you're on, supportive. We can sort of blah about the specificity of the job, and then go on tour and let it all go so we could keep teaching every year. But that's a great one.
Chalk
um
Dust Torture.
Torturers.
Oh my God, that's such a great. I never think about the meaning. It's because crazy lyrics too. I
I
never
saw
really
it. Yeah, I sat in their chairs and my synapses burned. The torture of
Chalk
chalk
Dust
dust collects
collect
on my tongue. Thoughts follow my vision and dance in the sun, while my vasoconstrictors they come slowly undone.
slowly undone. Can't this wait till I'm old? Can I live while I'm young? It's like one of the
Can
best lines ever.
I live while I'm
Oh,
middle aged? I think every once in a while I'll just like say that to myself and giggle at the show because but it's fun to Fish is just so timeless, of course when you're rocking so hard, you're in the jam, you're all lit up on whatever your choices have been for the evening. Time does slip away. I've seen people that are 50 years old turn into 18-year-olds, just dancing with so much joy, just coursing through them. It is a timeless feeling to be moved by music, certainly. I wanted to say one thing about nectars before we move on. You know, I I feel like local independent business is one of the facets of community that I worry about it going away, and I worry about the homogenization of culture downtowns, in America, especially in the administration. I think about Burlington's downtown, which I haven't been to in God so long. But you know that the same guy who did Pearl Street Mall did the downtown Burlington Walking Mall. Did you know that?
I did not know that. That's interesting.
And so there's kind of this like symbiosis between these two places. And if I think about Pearl Street, which I live on West Pearl, so very close to Pearl, um, you got your Starbucks now, and you've got your every place business. And just recently, I don't know if you saw this in the news, Bri, but in the US, I think it's Ben of Ben and Jerry's got arrested protesting at
I
some
saw that. Poor
congressional
Ben and
meeting.
Jerry. Yeah.
I mean, Ben and Jerry's, Phish, Bernie Sanders, that's a time in Burlington. These people that are aging, that are fighting still for maybe our right to ice cream, our right to party, our right to live in peace, whatever it is.
All right to
Um,
ice cream. That's a t-shirt.
yeah, right. Yeah, my heart wonders what is happening. And I mean, again, like my dear friend Kevin Daly, who owns the Mountain Sun, he worries about the rising cost of operating a business without some corporation behind it. And if we think about where is music going and where has music come from, and what Dave was saying about coming to Boulder, being able to play 25 nights a month and have a living within 20 miles of wherever he lived, I wonder for young bands, for young creatives, for young artists. My son's in art school. I mentioned that before. What will be their opportunities in local communities, and how, I mean, have to imagine that we'll see innovation, because that's what humans have done all throughout history. But it's an interesting time right now to wonder what is going on between sort of local imprint of culture and corporate thumbprint of culture, or lack thereof.
Yeah, I think it's just it has a lot to do with doom scrolling and just the game of the device life. I
Device
think
life.
I think it's just better to stay at home and watch YouTube videos than it is to like go to the shows. I mean,
Maybe so, maybe not, right? Like,
I'm not saying it's better, but I'm just saying that's the trend. That's the trend.
Yes. Well, going back
and
to
if you can,
sorry, you go.
No, I insist.
Just going back to kids who don't have their license, they are more inclined to cuddle up, like my son playing D&D with his homies online. He is happy, he's creative, he's imaginative, he's safe. But if I were 19 home from college, I would not be hanging out on my computer, right? I was hanging out at Hungry Horse Hollow getting wild, or rolling down the hill or something like that. I don't know. Different culture. It's interesting.
But not everything was on the computer. I mean, you had to go out and find.
No, you had
the
Load
stuff.
Runner. Do you remember Load Runner?
I don't remember Load Runner.
Like this little guy, and you had to find the treasure.
Maybe, I'm sure.
Anyway, whatever. Someone out there remembers Load Runner, I'm sure.
Speaking of someone's out there, 40 Man says, I can narrate the punctuation, comma, colon, full stop, dash. That's an exciting one. Okay. My son's Gen Xer in a Zoomer timeline. Lolo is basically Lolo. So basically he's a badass. Okay.
That's awesome.
Your son's a Gen Xer. Okay. We're clear.
Zoomer
We're squarely.
timeline. Me and Brian are Gen Xers. We're Gen X.
We're very Gen X, yeah.
Not quite the lost generation.
Picture of Nectar. And is Core Lord Man.
I don't know.
Picture of Nectar is Core Lord Man. Okay. Not sure. Grateful Dogs. But let's keep going here with the thanks for the great comments, guys. Keep them coming. Tell us where you are in the world. Tell us what your first Phish show was. Tell us how much you hate Phish. Tell us how much you love Phish. Leave some more comments. We'll get to them. Let's read this next one. This is just another snub article. Phish got snubbed, but it's a good one. And this one, I forgot. This is The Guardian. Yeah, Justice for Phish. I'll start. Justice for Phish. How the jam band shaped U.S. culture without awards or big hits. They were snubbed by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but their dedicated followers from Bernie Sanders to Maroon 5 know they exemplify a uniquely American tradition. By Matthew Cantor, May 1st, 2025.
Maroon 5. I did not know that they were fans of Phish.
Yes. Bernie Sanders, because he's such a tastemaker, although I love Bernie Sanders, has called them one of the
He's so cute.
One of the great American rock bands. Who does Bernie love? What music does Bernie really like? Does he
probably loves Bruce Springsteen. If I had to guess, he's probably a big Springsteen fan.
No. He's too old to like Bruce Springsteen. No.
Of course he must. Maybe that's our next article. I'll do some digging. I'm almost done with work.
Okay. He's like, even before he's like an Elvis. He's got to be like way up.
Barry
He's got to be like. No. It's like pre-Beatles. Like it's got to precede the Beatles.
But he's
like 80. He's like, well, how old is he? He's like 70. He's 78, 76.
So
70.
Bob and Joanne, my parents are 80. Your parents are probably the same age.
Not quite. I mean, they were young when they had me, but they couldn't go to Beatles shows. They were too young. Almost. They were 17. They couldn't. They were 17 or during Woodstock, I think.
I feel like he'd be into like soul and Motown and like, I don't know. Let's do some research about what music does Bernie. I put it on my little list of things to do.
Can he name 3 Phish songs? Can he name 3 Phish songs? Okay.
And he was the mayor of Burlington when Phish was playing 3 nights a week, 3 sets a night at Nectar's. You have to imagine he would have gone in for a beer, done a city council meeting. He's a rabble rouser, that Bernie. He probably likes punk rock.
You're a rabble rouser, Anne.
Me? Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True, I am. Okay, Bernie.
Okay, so he calls him, our pal Bernie calls him one of the greatest American rock bands. They've been together since 1983, selling out stadiums and hosting festivals where they're the only band on the bill, drawing tens of thousands. Last week, which was a couple weeks ago now, they won the fan vote for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with 330,000 votes, beating the runner-up, the rock supergroup Bad Company by 50,000 votes. Take it over.
Yet outside of the US, Phish may best be known as the inspiration for Ben & Jerry's fish food flavor. They've never had a significant mainstream hit. And when the Hall of Fame inductees were announced on Sunday, Phish weren't among them. Bad Company was. Many fans seem unbothered. Phish is too out there, too innovative, not mainstream, wrote one on a fan message board. Hall of Fame just isn't a Phish thing. Added another, let the disdain and misunderstandings continue.
Hear, hear.
Yeah.
Hear, hear. That's where I am. Had they won it, I may be saying something else. Yes, finally. But really, this is the preferred outcome, I think.
We are all on the underdog team if you play for Phish. Whether metaphorically or literally, right? We all cheer for the underdog, and we love it when our team wins, but if they don't, we still love them anyway. That's sort of like the Phish fan thing, right?
Yeah.
All right.
It's fun to be misunderstood. It's kind of, it's just on brand.
It
It's all par for the course for the quartet, who have become a household name in the U.S. thanks to their incredibly devoted fan base. Even if most people probably can't name any of their songs, instead, they're best known for the stereotype of their most hardcore listeners, hippies who follow them around the country on tour, selling grilled cheese sandwiches in parking lots, obsessing over set lists. The band never plays the same show twice, and doing vast amounts of drugs.
There is truth to the stereotype. To attend a Phish show is to wander through a parking lot full of people distributing veggie burritos and nitrous balloons, wearing tie-dye or shirts with obscure references to specific Phish compositions. Encyclopedic knowledge of the band's songs comes with bragging rights. There are about 1,000 of them, including covers. In a series of 13 shows at Madison Square Garden in 2017, they didn't repeat a single one.
That bears repeating. Phish didn't repeat a single song in a series of 13 full shows. 2 sets, 3 hours of music at New York's Madison Square Garden in 2017. Here is a photo of it. They played 13 nights in a row, and that's photo's not doing it justice, but that's our fifth member of Phish, CK5, Chris Kuroda, who does these incredible light installations. And it was a athletic feat to have gone so huge. The band formed in Vermont in the 80s, and the fans are extremely white. Okay, this is where, they're also extremely male, or they're also very male. This is hilarious, actually. During a 3-show stretch at the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles this weekend, there was a line out the door for the men's room and none at all for the women's. That's so funny, because it's always the opposite, right? It
depends when you're. I've stood on many a line for a ladies' room at Phish.
Okay, I wanted your perspective on this.
It goes pretty quickly. It's always great camaraderie in there, and I will just quick pause. There was a group in the 90s of Phish women called the Funky Bitches, and the Funky Bitches would put together in all the bathrooms in the venue little kind of lady snack packs with like tampons, face cleanser, sanitizing wipes, maxi pads. There would be information about health clinics where you could get checked out for STDs. Here's a pregnancy test, and there's still that kind of situation going on in the bathrooms at the Phish show. The Funky Bitches, those 90s Funky Bitches, are still doing the bathroom thing. It's so cool, actually. Yeah.
I've heard them described as like the biggest organized group within the subculture. I think there's a gal at the head. There's a gal who's like one person in particular, and there's like the A team of, there is. I think there is. No,
I'm sure you're right. I mean,
there is. There's one gal who's like,
Yeah.
she runs it was the Facebook page, I think is how it started. And
no, this is 90s. Pre-Facebook was the Funky Bitches. Yeah,
okay, I'm getting two things conflated things, but I'm sure I've read this somewhere. Maybe it's the girl who did the glasses? I don't remember.
Yeah,
anyway.
There's the Baba Cool Girl. There's a group on Facebook called Phish Chicks, and that's what you might be thinking of.
Yeah,
there's
maybe
a lot of people. That's always interesting. There's also now, I like the local group. There's Colorado Phish Chicks, which is wonderful. But no, Funky Bitches. Had I made it to the bathroom at my first show, which I never did, because I was really high on LSD and couldn't go anywhere. But and also we had a great spot. But I'm sure I would have seen like snack pack of tampons and whatnot. I certainly remember that remember McNichols? What was that year? 97 McNichols. You and I were there together. I do distinctly remember like a whole
menstruating. You remember menstruating at that particular show?
No, but honestly, and this is probably TMI, but every time I go to Phish, I'm like, great, there's my period. If I don't have my period at a Phish show, I'm like, halla fucking luya. But no, my last one in Portland, I was like, well, look, I'm going to Phish. Here's my period.
All right, ladies and gents, this is the kind of hot takes you'll be getting on the Read Icculus podcast frequently.
Equal opportunity.
It is. It's equal opportunity. Yes, it is fun to talk about. It's because it is true. It's a male centric world, and it's a white centric one, which I'm not proud of at all, and I don't. Yeah, but I'm happy to hear some. But you see some interesting shades of the skin tone rainbow at the shows a little bit, and they're represented there.
We have talked about this before. There is a place for everyone, and there are pockets of togetherness, no matter what your choices are or who you are, what you look like. I really love doing gay Phish tour. I'm not gay, even though I rock the rainbow. But some of my favorite, compadres for tour these days are my gay male friends, and we have the best time. And so there's something for everyone. There's the Free Network, which is Fans for Racial Equality, which is a great gang of folks. So I think, I don't know.
There's something for everybody, for sure. There's a little something.
At the end of the day, you close your eyes and you lose yourself in the music, and that's maybe what it's all about.
This comment about our conversation a moment ago: when people vacate the real environment for virtual reality, corporations swoop for the land grab.
4D man always spouting that.
In the end, folks. Yeah, sorry. In the end, folks won't open their curtains to look out the window. Yeah, more bad news later. Yeah, and then he also says here, menopausal men have it so easy.
Menopausal 40 man.
Oh, is that what he said? There you go. Menopausal 40
man. Menopausal men. Yes, we know all about it.
It's a thing. Okay. So let's see. A Phish show is a place where men have feelings.
Wait, is that in the article? Hold on. I think.
Yeah. This is right after the men's room comment. Yeah, it's white, it's mostly male, and it's a place where men have feelings, which they demonstrate through unabashed, terrible dancing. An LA fan who reluctantly attended a concert last year as an anthropological experiment, quote, called Phish a band for East Coast kids who love summer camp. There you go, Ann.
It's a true story. As Amanda Petrusic wrote in an in-depth New Yorker piece this month, people who love Phish do so with a devotion that is quasi-religious, deep, eternal, and rhapsodic.
Go.
The pop culture image of Phish has largely focused on their hardcore fans, which tends to distract from the band and the music itself. Hall of Famer know there's no question they've made their mark on American culture. The band has long allowed recording at their shows, and the passionate community, which traded cassette tapes and then long form digital audio, helped to pioneer internet culture. While the band themselves are heirs to the Grateful Dead, often seen as the jam band prototype, they helped spread the jam band gospel, helping to lift or inspire a generation of bands, including Dave Matthews Band and the very not jammy Maroon 5. Festivals such as Bonnaroo are rooted in Phish culture. The band's guitarist Trey Anastasio headlined the first edition. As the BBC put it in 2019, attending a Phish gig has become a rite of summer passage for American teens in the same way that attending Glastonbury has for British teenagers.
From The Guardian, for you Anglos out there. Yeah, I mean, I just thought, yeah, there was a couple little insights in there that I thought.
Wait,
I mean, we cracked a few. Huh?
I have 2 more pages.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the end of it. Oh, sorry. Okay, they began playing together in college. So I'll go. Sorry, they began playing together. I thought this was the beginning of the next article. Sorry. There's a picture here at the top of Mike.
I know.
Gordon.
I love that picture. Put it real close. It's the Casbah boxed.
Yes, it's
in the white suit. So cute. So cute. So dang cute.
Yeah, you can't see it, but
yeah, you can.
Okay. Anyway, these guys they came out in a completely white stage with white amps and white drums and white guitars and white suits, and they portrayed themselves as this other fictional band, sort of a sergeant, like a Sergeant Pepper's in real time, called Casvat Vox, and that was the name. Yeah, that's the name of the band. And
my shirt today is the name of the album, I
Rock. Yeah. Faceplant into rock.
Faceplant into rock, 100%. We will come to outlive our brains. Let's go.
We will come to outlive our brains. They began playing together in college, and the lineup hasn't changed since 1986. Anastasio on guitar, usually lead vocals, Mike Gordon on bass, Paige McConnell on keyboards, John Fishman on drums. They still play songs from Anastasio's college thesis composition. They're generally categorized as a jam band, a term whose definition Anastasio told the New Yorker he's unsure about. He worries it means too much soloing.
Well, we heard about that from Dave in our opening. But what makes the band fun to watch is how all 4 members, with an easy virtuosity, contribute to the impromptu evolution of each song. This isn't about a lone guitar playing endlessly while the rest of the band plays a looping chord progression. Instead, the musicians listen to each other, sometimes mimicking, sometimes diverging, always driving the song forward. Often, a song ends up totally different from where it began. New chords, new melody, new tempo, but still cohesive. So that given, say, the final minute of a song, even the most experienced Phish fan might not be able to identify the starting point.
Is this still Lawn Boy? Is this still Lawn Boy?
This is when we were talking about 1.0 versus 2.0. That's, I think, what we all want. We all want to forget where we started. I love that feeling. I'll turn to Nafi at the show and be like, where are we? Or she'll be like, what song is this? And that's the best feeling, is forgetting totally where you began.
Yeah. That's the sign of being on a good vacation. Like you've properly unplugged when you're like, what was today? What's today?
Yes.
Right?
Great analogy.
Right. Is it the day? Is it 7 in the morning or 7 p.m. or 7 a.m.? Right. Either way, the improvised proportions, which make up the majority of each show, are dynamic. The mood shifts from joyful to eerie to abstract and back again. There is a narrative structure with tension slowly building to a raucous payoff. Phish are revered for their exhaustive knowledge of the past 6 decades of popular music, having covered songs from Joni Mitchell to the 5 Stair Steps to Chumbawamba. That's a hilarious one. Do you remember that one?
No, what's that?
I get up and I get back again. And it's the one where he's like, can you imagine if you woke up every morning and you heard the same song every day. It's the Time Machine one. Anyway, I think that's the one.
Okay.
They play
5 6
blue.
is ooh child, things are gonna get easier.
There's Michael
What did they
Jackson
cover
reference here.
from Joe Mitchell?
I don't know. That would be amazing. I have no idea.
Me
I have no
neither.
idea. Maybe, yeah, let's find that one out. I'm not
I'll
sure.
put that on my list of research too.
Please. They play bluegrass and funk and sing a cappella as a barbershop quartet, and they perform with artists from Cher to Jay-Z.
Read one more paragraph, will you? I'm writing my notes here.
And they know how to put on a show. There are onstage dances and jumping on trampolines. Fishman plays the vacuum cleaner, manipulating the air with his mouth. Each New Year's Eve brings a giant Madison Square Garden performance with elaborate sets, costumes, and dancers. One year, the band arrived riding a giant hot dog over the crowd. Another, Fishman, was supposedly shot from a cannon and went missing. I don't know about this one.
I know about this one. This is Miami. I want to say 2009, and he gets shot out of a cannon, and then Sarah from the crowd comes up, who is Fishman dolled up like a gal or something like that, and Sarah plays the rest of the show. And then when fans walked outside, there was some sort of
Sarah,
which was
some
like
random
a animal that had dropped onto a car or something like that outside the venue.
That's funny.
Yeah. Maybe that's what they played
funny.
Joni Mitchell. I have no idea.
I have no idea.
I think it was somebody from Second City Improv that played the role of Sarah before they switched out for Fishman or something like that. But I was not there for that. But I will just say that the band did not arrive riding a giant hot dog. That was the third set.
Okay. And just correcting the record here for us.
I mean, yeah, everybody says the same story. All these articles we read, we pause and comment on the same parts of the history. Have you noticed?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm guilty.
Story. Maybe one of these days we'll write something that's not the same story, you and I. That could be fun. Write Icculus. All right. They're weird, they're silly, and the fans can be a lot. But ultimately, what makes them one of the great American rock bands, in the words of Bernie Sanders, as their fellow Vermonter put it, is summed up in a recent album title, Joy. It pulses through their music, their stunts, and their community in a way that's always felt rare and that the fans celebrate. As a touring band and an open secret, they exemplify a uniquely American tradition rooted in 1960s counterculture, but stretching well beyond it, tied to the country's vastness and unknowability. To attend a Phish show is to briefly join a caravan of characters, hippies, nerds, even frat bros, and step outside reality for a few hours.
In a way, it's appropriate that they didn't make it into the Hall of Fame this year, despite hundreds of thousands of fan votes. It's in line with their whole career, a vast army of listeners, but no big hits. A part of American culture for 40 years, but never quite in the mainstream.
And I think that's how we like it. That's really...
Yeah, that's what I like about them.
Didn't make it. I think you're right when you said before you would be saying something different if they had, but to the underdog point, let's keep it on the DL a little longer, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Oklahoma, and it's like the more it's a nice place, especially the part where I'm from. It's like as long as people just stay away from there, it'll keep being a nice place.
The center,
and I'm sure that like the Dead, like when we went to the Dead, when I saw the Dead, did you see the Dead? Did you see the Dead with Jerry?
Yes.
So like you know,
I saw like the original.
The original. Yeah. So like when we showed up in our tie-dyes and our hippie buses or whatever, they were lamenting us being there. They did not want us there. Their little world was its own little thing, and we were coming to spoil it by the popularity that they were that third wave of interest that suddenly was happening. So it's probably coming for us. Maybe not, because actually when Touch of Grey came out, I read that like Jerry was like 51, and if Phish hasn't had a hit by now, I don't know if we're gonna get one. And that was a big moment for the Dead. I read in a recent article, and it had to have been. And it was like 80. It was like late. I was like, I don't know what year it was. I guess 80. I'm gonna say 89, but I don't think it's coming for the boys. I don't think it is.
Well,
Let's read some comments through.
It's an interesting time if you think about when Touch of Grey came out. I think it was before 80, maybe 87, 88. MTV was a thing, and MTV was playing videos. And I think if you hear Touch of Grey at a show, maybe now with like the John Mayer thing, it's great, it's awesome, but I don't think people wanted to hear that song necessarily.
No,
They
no,
wanted
no,
to
no.
hear Dark Star. It's like hearing,
Sure.
Well, I don't want to down any Phish songs, but there are songs that you're like, oh, okay, this is step touch it out for the song, 4-minute song, but you really want it. You want something bigger. You want the jam. You want the tweezer. You want the Down with Disease. You want it to go somewhere. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'd scoffed at Touch of Grey for a lot of years until I played it on the piano once, and I realized like what an amazing song it actually is. It's a great song. It's a really, really good song, and the lyrics are. Hey, but what's that? Yeah, they're all great, but yeah, they're all good. Joni Mitchell covered "Free Man in Paris." I'm ashamed to say I don't know what "Free Man" is.
I was a free man in Paris. Bye, Davey. Bye. Thanks for guesting with us.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Get home safe.
See you, dude. See you, Bibble,
Have
Fibble,
fun
Dibble.
playing Phish tonight. Think of me.
Yeah, man.
Jamming.
Have a raging show.
Oh, got it. He's got a jaboo now.
Did he just say that?
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Dave. Ciao. Yeah. That's awesome.
Is Oklahoma near Kentucky? Yes, you're right. It's near Kentucky. You just go to Kentucky and you'll be close enough. Mike Freeman. Mike Freeman in Paris, Joni.
Okay, all right. I'm trying. Maybe
I'm lost. Help me out here.
By Joni Mitchell. I don't know. Maybe if there's some ladies, you guys will.
Mike Free, Man in Paris, Joni. I'm not getting this.
Gordon Band or Phish actually played it.
So Joni's Mike Freeman is a Joni tune. Mike Freeman is in Paris, Joni.
No, the title of the song is "Free Man in Paris" by Joni. I think Mike played it. I don't know if that's Phish or my Gordon Band or
they did it. Somebody did it in Pasadena.
Yes.
Sorry to it's so hard. I can totally relate to get Touch of Grey. We're going here in circles.
That's okay.
Yeah, I can relate to these comments, like not like typos in the comments. You're like, and then you can't delete it and you can't correct it. And you're like, and then it like doesn't make sense. And the host is like, what are you trying to say? And you're like, I'm making sense. I promise. I'm not this, Anyway.
Yes, we try. I think I have a typo in one of my I was embarrassed. I was writing back to 4D Man from one of our other episodes and I was typo and I couldn't figure out how to go back and fix it. I felt like an idiot.
You can't. It's
annoying.
You can only delete the comment.
Can't go back.
They should fix that.
Annoying.
Okay, so we're at the bone marrow of this session. I think I think this is the best piece of the lot. There's more. There's more articles, but this one's really fun. And so
this is our big one.
It's not the last one's big too. The last one might even be bigger, but
this one
why don't you start?
Okay, you want me to start?
So good. Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Disclaimer: I have not pre-read this. And it's going to be awesome. The best and weirdest of Phish, according to Trey Anastasio. Article originally published in June. We're recirculating it now with the release of Phish's new album, Evolve. So is that last year? When did Evolve come out, Brian? I'm trying to place the article. I don't have
2020.
Okay.
2020.
So 5 years old.
No, that's Sigma O. Sorry, Evolve is just last year. Yeah, Evolve is 2024.
Okay, great.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah.
You're annoying.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Wait, so why are we asking about that? Oh, because it's Evolve. So this is a year old. Yes. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm just trying to place the article.
Yep.
We're going backwards down the number line today with our articles. Your annoying friend who won't shut up about Phish has a point. The 40-year-old jam band, with its intensely dedicated following, is in an incredible groove right now. They rang in 2024 with a puppet-enhanced New Year's gig, then brought their psychedelic improvisation skills to the Las Vegas Sphere for 4 sold-out nights with no repeats on the set list or the screens. They've also got a new album, Evolve, coming out in on July 12th. So that would have been 2024, just in time for a summer tour that concludes with their own 4-day festival. They do this kind of thing periodically in Delaware. But for the prolific Trey Anastasio, Phish's primary songwriter, guitarist, and lead singer, that's not nearly enough. You may have seen him recently sit in with Billy Joel or introduce Steely Dan at the Songwriters Hall of Fame when he should have been home practicing for some upcoming solo gigs he has with a full symphony orchestra. He also just ended a short tour with his Trey Anastasio band, a slimmed down quartet from the usual percussion-rich horn-enhanced octet, following the death of saxophonist and backup vocalist James Casey.
Ooh, that's a sad one. I want to comment on a few things here. It says here, Las Vegas, they played the Sphere for 4 sold-out nights with no repeats in the set list or on the screens. Now, like everybody was into when the Sphere got announced, and considering that it's the same people who run MSG, you knew that the Phish thing was going to happen there, and it was going to be like everybody was just like waiting. Are they going to open the place? What are they going to do? Are they going to do like a residency there? What's going to happen? And we were all like a little bit both surprised and like almost comforted in the fact that they just did a 4-night run. And the reason that they did a 4-night run, rather than like the Dead, who've done like they're on their 2nd or 3rd residency there, the U2 famously did like a month of shows. Phish said, to create the graphics for the, to program the graphics for the Sphere took an immense amount of creativity and imagination and programming. And they were not going to, every night and every piece somehow stayed true to the notion that it wasn't going to be it wasn't going to be like a scripted show, but it also was going to be they had to have cues so the artist knew what to put on the screen. Yep. And so they worked out some crazy language where they could just get it right. And there was the opportunity to do a 5th show, but they would have had to create like yet another set of graphic materials and another song list, and they were going to have to like figure something out. And they basically decided that like a 5th show could possibly not have been as good as the 4 shows that they could guarantee would be amazing. And that's like the dedication. That's the level of dedication that they have to the fans. I think it's like, we're going to give you everything that we possibly can. And we're not, anything that doesn't cut mustard, it's going to get left out. And we're not just going to fill it, just to fill another day of shows. Cause I'm sure they could have easily sold another day of shows, but I mean, these like a U2, or I don't know, I don't want to throw shade at the Dead, but like, it'd be easy to imagine them just playing the same role over and over, and like just a repeating loop, if not over the course of a single show, then, certainly every night after night. And for Phish to say, no, we're not going to do that, I think it's just a testament to their creative spirit. So that I want to point that out on that. And then, there was a comment about Billy Joel. You may have seen him recently sit in with Billy Joel or introduce Steely Dan. Now, Steely Dan doesn't get scoffed at like Billy Joel does. But the reason that they mentioned Billy Joel in here, for anybody wondering, is that, and there's probably nobody wondering because you all are we're preaching to the choir here. But
somebody in Europe doesn't.
Billy Joel famously is the other act that can fill Madison Square Garden up basically 13 nights in a row, essentially, although he's playing the same set every night with maybe one tune swapped out. But I think there was I think Billy Joel and Phish have kind of been up against each other, like competing for who's going to get the New Year's run this year. Essentially, like there's been a couple of times where Billy Joel he runs that venue basically. Anytime they need to fill up some seats, that he can just fill up that arena over and over and over and over and over and over again. There's fans that'll go see him. So, and tourists and whatever. But that's a gracious thing to do, is that, like, even though they're sort of frenemies because they're both competing for the same, real estate on the calendar, it's like you may have seen him recently sitting with Billy Joel. Trey just admires everybody. And he's always saying, "Oh, Billy Joel's the best. Nobody's better than Billy Joel." I mean, he must say something like that. And even though it's easy, he's an easy one to scoff at. Here's Trey showing his true colors by going out and giving the guy the respect that he deserves. And I find that really admirable, and I look up to them. I look up to them for that reason. There's an opportunity to be snarky, and then they're just gracious. So I just wanted to point that out, the Billy Joel comment. So anybody who's like, Billy Joel, what are they doing playing with Billy Joel? They're being fucking cool and being gracious and respecting their elders and those who came before them. And Billy Joel's a fucking legend. So come on.
Okay, pick me.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm picking you, Andrea. You Andrea, yes. You have a question? Yes.
I want to say like maybe 3 things. So if you, in our last article, I think there was this, like, if you went to summer camp, you love Phish thing. Remember that line? If you went to summer camp on the East Coast as a kid in the 80s, you listened to a shit ton of Billy Joel. At my summer camp, Camp Danby, shout out, Hinsdale, Massachusetts, Peru, Mass. Billy Joel was deep in the rotation. Billy Joel is an iconic New Yorker, and
Yeah.
and now Trey is an iconic New Yorker. It's interesting. I would not say that they are frenemies. I wouldn't use that. I think they are of a time and place in music. Billy Joel certainly precedes. I think The Stranger comes out in 78, 79. But how could Phish not be influenced culturally by the sound of Billy Joel in his sort of late 70s, early 80s coke years? And Trey's got to just be geeking to get out there with Billy Joel. I mean, you can't not sing along. And this is funny. Sometimes in my classroom, I'll ask the kids, what music do you want me to play? Like, who's going to DJ today? And one of the best DJ sessions we had in the last month was some kids being like, Miss Rawson, play some Billy Joel. I mean, it's like 15, 16-year-olds today are still listening to Billy Joel. And it's fucking awesome. So I just want to like shout out Billy Joel. And I would have to say that Trey, in his sort of adult contemporary life in New York City, how could he not be so geeked on Billy Joel? They both have their Madison Square Garden banners hanging. It's pretty awesome. I will also say I've never seen Billy Joel, and my dad has been to like so many of those concerts at MSG because he lives right there in Manhattan now. Las Vegas Sphere. I want to just pop back to that because you had so many great points about that. I went to 3 of those 4 shows. It was such a mind blower. I am glad they only did 4 shows. Trey had said if we had done more, it might get old. And we are here to blow minds. We do not want it to get old. We don't want to repeat the graphics. I think I had read, so the company that did all the graphics, the Moment Factory out of Canada, Montreal, Canada, they actually do quite a lot of stuff in Tokyo as well, a lot of the VR stuff. Did you know? I'll send you a little.
No clue. Okay,
I've
interesting.
fallen in love with their graphics because, as I was saying, my son goes to art school. He's really into design. I would love to see it working for the Moment Factory in the future. I think it'd just be so cool. But they produce something like 80 hours of footage that could then be manipulated. I'm forgetting the woman's name who is hopped on board. Sort of Chris Kuroda's counterpart for like the VR thing. I'm sure I'll remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just really, it was so cool. It was such a diverse and joyous experience in the Sphere. And the dude from MSG, Jim Dolan, who invested $1 billion or something into the Sphere, same guy. He's an interesting character too. For better or for worse, he's doing interesting stuff. I heard they want to build mini spheres is kind of his next project with the Sphere, but boy, oh boy, it was so good. I can't imagine if Phish had. I'm glad that they don't have more shows lined up. Like, let us get salivatory before we hear when they're playing again at the Sphere. But what an experience to be there. I felt like I was looking over the event horizon into the future, and you kind of glimpsed it and put it in your pocket, and then you woke up the next day, you're like, wait, was that what happened? It's always psychedelic, but boy, oh boy, in that environment, that was so cool. I bet. And
You said
sound
you saw 3 of the 4 shows. Is that what you said? You saw 3 of the 4?
Yeah, I didn't go to the first night. I figured, like they should get a night to figure it out. And then so I went second, third, and fourth nights. And the first set of the second night, I felt like it took a little bit for the sound to dial in. And then right towards the end of the first set, the sound really locked in. And then everything, all the sets after that were just incredible. And if you listen to the live Phish recordings or you listen on Sears, you could tell when it's the Sphere without seeing the little it's at the Sphere. There's a quality to the recording that is just fucking insane. It's so cool.
We watched it for sure on Couch Tour, but I would like to. I just started. Michael threw a show at me the other day. I think May 16th was
From
both
the dog log, Michael.
Yeah. The May 16th, yesterday, the day before yesterday, was both the. What was it? It was the. I thought it was the release of Billy Breeze. It was the anniversary of Billy Breeze, but that can't be true because Billy Breeze got released in October or November and in the fall. I definitely remember that, but maybe it was Farmhouse. But he gave me the show that they debuted Free Taste.
Taste would have been
Glide 2
at that point. Remember,
it was like 6 songs off of Billy Breeze that they debuted. Free was one of them.
Yeah.
And that would have been 95. It was like May 16th of 1995, and it was a tapers. It wasn't a soundboard tape. It was a tapers recording, and it sounded so. I hadn't heard a tapers tape in so long. I was actually looking at cassettes all day. A cassette Sony Walkman today because I got all these tapes. I'm like, oh god, it sounds so good because it puts you right in the show that like the soundboard kind of doesn't. And he had mentioned in passing that like Cornell 77, which is this most famous of Dead shows, he said that somebody postulated about the Dead that like that recording was particularly hot, and in the show may not have been as legendary as legend has it, as history has it, but it was such a good recording and everybody had a good copy of it. And he was saying, do you remember having good tapes, having particularly hot Phish tapes? And I was like, no, but I definitely remember having particularly shitty Phish tapes. And
I think I had
by compare.
Oh, sorry. I remember the Bomb Factory was one of those great Phish tapes that like you could hear the whole crowd. I think it's Texas in early 90s. Anyway,
the Bomb Factory. I remember the Bomb Factory. Yeah. Now that you said Texas, in Dallas, I remember hearing about it now. Yeah. You know about Re-Listen? Do you know Re-Listen?
I do.
Re-Listen. Okay. Yeah.
IN. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's a weird domain. It's .in, I think.
Yes.
But it has everything that the Phish app doesn't have. So it was an interesting. I don't know how we got there, but yeah, the recordings. Yeah, I'd like to go because the Sphere famously didn't. They had no amps on stage. They had no it was a totally different, paradigm. It was like a whole different thing. So I would like to go back and listen to the shows, maybe even without seeing them. But there was a moment in those 3 shows which I'm so jealous that you got to see. And I don't remember which song it was. I want to say it might have been like Divided Sky, but it was the Pollock thing.
That was
It was like the Greek urns that was like, I think that was the one. It was just like insane. insane.
It was a taste.
Maybe it was Taste. It could have been Taste. I
Ooh,
can't remember what it was.
step into space, alter my place.
No. I think it was something more sort of.
I can see through the light. That's
It
whatever.
might have been. Yeah, I was thinking it was more like.
Yeah, and then it busted into the Jim Pollock, all of the live Phish covers that sort
I'm
of
gonna
came
pull it up.
slowly through this like golden light into the black and white, which is what they are sort of produced as. I saw my first show, the live Phish go by, Fishman with the little X over his privates from Halloween '94.
Oh my God, here it is. I'm pulling it up. Just a second. This is insane.
Fog that's around, but I think it's Taste.
Hold on.
Drop me off the Chinese wall.
We're going.
Peel my fingers off.
Fingers off the limb.
Limb by limb. Come unglued.
Hold on, what do I do?
In midair and land
to reform.
Limb by limb.
This one.
By limb, by limb, by limb. Yeah, that was insane. That was so cool. And before that image, you were like in this crazy sort of Egyptian world. And there was this sort of 3D thing that was in the foreground of the graphics. Boy, oh boy, this was a mind bender.
Yeah. This was there was the clouds. Remember this one? This one was, oh, you were there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if that was first night or night 3. That was insane. The Pillow Jets, maybe.
Yeah.
This one was insane.
The Pillow Jets.
But this one
of
was
the
crazy.
Ones.
And then so gorgeous.
You know what was weird? Now we've gotten off on a tangent here, but
sorry.
This is our podcast. The bathtub gin. No, it wasn't bathtub gin. It was something under the water, and there were these fish, and then they turned into these very strange, uncanny valley people that like their bodies didn't quite do the thing that human bodies do. It was so weird. I had to close my eyes. It was just kind of uncanny. Yeah, very uncanny. Uncomfortable and mind-blowing at the same time, which is sort of what Phish is.
Well, you gotta unhead the knee, Andrea. You gotta unhead the knee.
It's true. I do. I must. What have I been doing?
We should read Sci-Fi Soldier on one of these. We should read it cover to cover.
Did you get a copy of the comic book?
Yes.
Yeah, let's. That's really funny. That was a great thing to do for a good 25 minutes, uncomfortably waiting for the Phish show to start. An hour and 25 minutes.
We should get all the Halloween Phish bills too. They're all chock full of great stuff. We should get those too. They're fun.
We'll put it in our doc. All right, should we continue on?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I'm lost. Where are we?
I'll go. Oh
no. Oh yeah.
James.
You
Casey.
Go. James Casey.
Graph ended. James Casey, for those of you who don't know, was an amazing saxophonist and really a beautiful, beautiful musician. He passed away, I want to say, 1.5 years, 2 years ago at this point. Really just amazing jazz player, incredible soloist. He played with Trey for a number of years, and just what a beautiful heart. It's worth going into his catalog, both with Trey and his own stuff, checking out some of his videos. What amazing heart, and his playing was so good. I have several memorable transcendent moments seeing him. He played with Billy and the Kids at Red Rocks, which was Bill Kreutzmann and a bunch of youngish dudes that play modern Grateful Dead combinations and bands and whatnot. It was just gorgeous. He, rest in peace, rest in power, James Casey. What an amazing human.
Forming in the mid-'80s, Phish, Anastasio, bassist Mike Gordon, keyboardist Paige McConnell, and drummer John Fishman began as a college band based in Burlington, Vermont, playing classic rock covers and originals with fantasy heavy lyrics and occasional forays into barbershop quartet and vacuum cleaner solos before becoming a top touring act just around when Jerry Garcia died in 1995. While there are similarities between Phish and the Grateful Dead, no two shows are the same, jams that can last 27 minutes, a grilled cheese and drug bazaar in the parking lot, it's too reductive to stick with the passing of the jam band torch narrative. Yes, many fans travel from town to town to see the group, but musically, Phish's influences are far more Catholic. I don't know this grammar. Genesis, Talking Heads, Sly and the Family Stone, Little Feat, Frank Zappa, and their output more experimental than pretty much any other band that regularly sells out Madison Square Garden. They've played the world's most famous arena 83 times, second only to Billy Joel. One testament to their longevity, Phish has never had a radio hit, but they do have their own station on Sirius XM.
Is it weird to say Phish's influences are far more Catholic?
That there's something to that. What's that CF? Do you know what that means? That C. Does anybody know what CF?
I don't know what. I have a question mark in my annotations. I'll find out about that. But it's lowercase Catholic, so maybe that means like codified or something like that.
The word Catholic, I remember from Catholic school, means universal. Are the Phish's influence are far more universal, or far more like ubiquitous, or far more far-reaching, or far broad? Genesis, Talking Heads, Sly and the Family Stone, Little Feat, Frank Zappa. Maybe that's what it means. I'm not sure. I would never use Catholic as an adjective in that sense, but maybe that's what she's using. But what is that CF?
It must be something Latin, some like
right, exactly. Which maybe that would give you a clue what it means. Anyway,
yeah. All right,
you keep going. Talking
with Trey Anastasio about all of this can be a bit like exploring an epic Phish jam with conversational cul-de-sacs, laughter, profundity, and lots of references to other musicians. Our recent conversation went well past double the scheduled time because Anastasio has lost none of the passion he has for songwriting. Quote, I started writing songs really young, he says, and I write almost every day. I never expected a record deal or anything. Then there's still an element of that. Song to get a noob into Phish may be free or theme.
Wait. So these are prompts that the interviewer is asking Trey. So he's saying a song to get noob into Phish. What would a song be? That's what the article, the annotation is not there, so you can't really see, but what would be a song to get a new person into Phish? And Trey is answering these questions.
I see.
So, and then let me just point out this longtime lyricist, Tom Marshall, you skip over that. So it just goes from Tom to Trey and Tom. Yeah, Trey and Tom, and then it goes to song.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of those. Sorry, I didn't. Okay, but keep going. So question from the interviewer. Song to get a noob into Phish. And Trace answers.
Maybe free or theme from the bottom, but I'll say evolve from the new record. It's a Trey and Tom Marshall song that still retains that Phish left of center perspective. It's similar to Bouncing Around the Room and one we were all happy with. It's a little mystical with lines about the creator and the math. It speaks to our teenage obsessions with Peter Gabriel, who could really make an abstract photo with lyrics. Brian Eno and Robert Fripp, as well as Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. There are some complex Phish songs where you really have to make a commitment, but Evolve has this simple melody. It has that pixie dust.
Song most inspired by Genesis.
Ooh, why don't you do this one? You do this one.
Okay. The Squirming Coil. The middle of that, the do I don't know what he's referring to, but there's a lot of do which is very Selling England by the Pound. My favorite Genesis album by far, not even close. And I listened to Story of the Ghost today. I listened to Traveler. I listened to Selling England by the Pound. I listened to Trespass, and I busted out all my Peter Gabriel records, and I haven't listened to them yet, but I want to, and Robert Fripp as well. But these are the, like, Trey mentioned something like this in an interview in passing, and that will inspire me to go like, oh, I don't know what that is. I'm going to go listen to that, or I haven't listened to that in ages.
Totally.
I'm going to go listen to that. So he's talking about, again, it's Squirming Coil, a great, amazing tune. I'd say like an upper echelon of Michael and I would kind of rank it as middle upper esh, a Squirming Coil.
100%.
Yeah, Squirming Coil has a little Firth or Fifth, which is another Genesis reference. Also Lizards. The opening lines, passing through a corridor, is really an homage to At the Top of the Stairs. There's hundreds of people. That's the lyric. At the top of the stairs, there's hundreds of people. From the chamber of 32 doors on The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. That's such an intense record. I haven't got my head completely around that thing. Do you have the Genesis discography, Anne?
I don't have really any discographies.
Dude, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway is blow your mind. It's so good.
Real. I mean, in the late 80s and early 90s, so I grew up dancing in New York, ballet, modern dance, and our high school had a dance company, which was really, really cool. The teacher who sort of organized everything was friends with Suzanne Farrell, who was celebrated ballerina at New York City Ballet. And that's around the time when The Last Temptation of Christ, that Peter Gabriel album, came out. And I had choreographed a dance to that. I was really into Mickey Hart's Planet Drum at that time. Just some like kind of weird outskirtsy type things. And those things sort of still sit in me. But Genesis, I play the Land of Confusion video in my classroom because it's so fucked up with like those wacky psychedelic puppets. But this is a confession.
Gotta go back. That's Peter Gabriel less. That's without Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, that's more like Phil Collins.
No, it's that's also good, but like with this Trespass record, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, Selling England by the Pound. These records, there's another one. I'm thinking Foxtrot. They're so good, and they're so fucking good. You have to go listen to them all. And like, yeah. Anyway, yeah, and it's like they're the records that you're like, I don't know what he's talking about. This is like, okay, I get it. It's good, but it's like, I'm not sure. And then you listen to it again and again and again. And it's like it becomes your favorite album of all time. They're so good.
Well, isn't that part of like those late 80s or mid 80s albums? There was just so much like concept, building an album around concept, having it be sort of diffuse, and that's the best part of an album, and hopefully music still, but you put it on and you have to rediscover. That's the joy of the circular format of an album, perhaps, in that wax, Tokyo record style. All right.
Yes. And the Carpet Crawlers too. I was just obsessed. So Trey, they inducted Genesis into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're giant Genesis fans.
Yes.
And but speaking of which, actually not speaking of which, but there's a couple of comments here. Let me just get to them real quick. I don't know who Phish is. Yeah, you got to check out Phish. They're awesome. I've heard of the Phish Records label, but you got to hear Phish. This is Phish with a PH. Great band. We're talking about them. Was the name of the band after the Joe Fishman? No, not after Joe Fishman. We'll actually get yes and no. Do you want to take a stab at this, or do we not? Do we read Icculus? Read the fucking book.
Country Joe and the Fish.
No. She's talking about John Fishman.
Oh. Well,
okay, was the band named after the drummer John Fishman, not Joe Fishman, but we know this.
Okay. I was on a call with.
Go for it. Right. Yeah, go for it.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. I, Trey Anastasio, was on a call with Peter Gabriel once, and he will not touch that material now. He was so young, and he went on to create such high art. And I mean, everything he's done is great. It's okay to accept that you were a deep thinker when you were young. The Beatles were all young. Just because you were young doesn't mean you weren't already who you are. Love that. Here, I'll do this one for you. Interviewer says to Trey, song you'd want to see Phish perform if you could be in the audience.
I want to answer both the next questions, please.
Okay.
Split open and melt. I sure do like playing it. I sure do like. This is a song that Trey wants to hear Phish do. He's never seen the band Phish, right? If he gets to be in the audience and hear a band, so he wants to hear the song "Split Open and Melt." I sure do like playing it, but I'd also like to see it. The idea really is to unhinge from all concepts of music and go to a place where it's pure energy. That's what we're chasing. That and Harry Hood and It's Ice. Whoa.
Yeah.
Am I saying too many? We have a lot of songs. Oh, wait, Divided Sky. I would love to see Phish play Divided Sky.
Interviewer says, do you ever get annoyed when the audience cheers for so long in that pause in Divided Sky?
No, I feel honored. I cry a lot and I try to hide the fact that I'm crying. The depth of the friendship between the four of us, we've been playing that song for 40 years. We've watched our kids grow up. You take it all in. I'm looking at the audience, some of who've been with us for so long. I see Big Phil. He's one of our fans and he's very tall. He stands out. So I know what they're yelling about. They're all yelling about their friendships. Their yelling has less to do with us than the community. The fans made that happen. We never told the crowd to clap during Stash. They just did it and we loved it. We never told people to chant Wilson or woo during Twist, and I love it. I want more woo. This is funny, though it has a name now too, egging the woo. I was told some of us don't like it when you egg the woo. I was like, what the heck is that?
I never heard egg the woo.
Egg the woo, I like that.
There is an anti-woo contingency, and then there's a woo contingency, and that's sort of where we're at in culture.
You're on team woo. I think I'm on team. I wish I could be on team. I wish I could not. I wish I wasn't on team woo. I wish I was on,
Why do you say I'm on team woo? Tell me.
Because you're there for love and light and I'm there for it all.
You also said I was a chomper, and we haven't seen a show together since like 2000 Vegas.
I think because you're chomping all over this fucking podcast. That's why I think you're a chomper. But I'm probably a chomper too, and probably as guilty as you are.
Listen to the music play. All right,
I'm reading this one to you. So now interviewer asks, most challenging song on the new album.
We put a lot of care into Mercy. That song began with the home recordings I did. Then I took it out to the Mission Ballroom for the shows with Desron Douglas. Shout out Desron. He is so freaking amazing. I would love to see his jazz combo come to Boulder Theater. David Weingarten. And there was
John Fishman. Mission Ballroom. I don't know.
Yeah. The Mission Ballroom is this cool new venue in Denver. Well, it's not even new anymore, but Trey opened that venue when it opened. He opened, you might recall this, he opened the Fillmore Denver. Remember,
I was at that show.
Before Paul Simon really opened it. It was last minute and everybody got their tickets, the beginning of the internet. They used to hand out apples by the door.
I forgot about that.
They don't do that anymore. But anyway, God, Desron Douglas, what a monster. I can't wait to see him play again. All right. An interviewer says
no, keep going. It says shows with Desron Douglas and John Fishman. That's how it skips over there. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Sorry, guys. All right. For the shows with Desron Douglas and John Fishman. And then after last year's Mexico shows, I recorded a fake album for myself. All solo acoustic versions of the new material, different from the acoustic album I released called Mercy. There was another one. It's got pillow jets and everything. This album only exists on my phone. So Mercy went through a long process before I brought it back to the band.
I think Mercy is as good as like a Wait. I think Mercy is it's so good. It's so pretty. Gorgeous. It's one of the best. It's a standard. He wrote a standard.
It's wonderful. They played it at the Sphere and it was dead silent in there. You could hear like the breath behind the lyrics. You could hear
just thinking about it.
Oh God, it was so beautiful. I have chills thinking about it. I heard it in Mexico this last year too. It's just such a great sort of let's all catch our breath and have this kind of gorgeous moment. There were these birds flying over the water at the Sphere and the graphics. It was so beautiful. God, gee. All right.
Real quick, and 40 Man came in with the answer for the CF question.
Oh,
Latin means reference for comparison,
thank you.
i.e. CF means reference cited for comparison with whatever prose triggers the reference.
Thank God
Yeah,
for
so where does
that.
Catholic fall into that?
Yeah. 4D man, you are our deep reference person. Lowercase Catholic as a reference to other material or a body of what was
Did he
that?
write that? Yeah, please find
No,
out
I'm
for us.
asking.
He's asked, Andrea is asking, yes. I grew up dancing in New York. He likes this phrase of you. Yeah. I read when they kicked out Phil Collins out of Genesis, he was accepted into the US and not in England. When they kicked out Phil Collins out of Genesis, he was accepted in the US and not in England. Okay, interesting. He's not an English hero. He's not one of your heroes in the UK. I fucking love Phil Collins. Phil Collins is
always had a problem with Collins. I'm not gonna lie.
What's the problem?
It's just so I don't know. Outside of In the Air Tonight, I never liked much of Phil Collins. But that drum break in the Air Tonight is killer. And what in High School Dance Company, Jen Ruggiero, shout out, she choreographed this beautiful number to In the Air Tonight. It was so fucking good. Oh my gosh. That was such a great gang of women to hang with, all still hanging out, loving each other on the internet. Yay. Westchester Ballet Company.
Egging the woo, Anne. You're
egging
the
never
woo.
egging the woo. I mean, on what's the egg in a hole? Egg in a hole.
Egg in a hole. Yes. Okay.
How about this one? What do you think Trey has to say about the best Taylor Swift song for Phish to cover, Bri?
When we did 7 nights at Madison Square Garden in 2023, we got so close. The Eras tour was just starting, and everyone was like, you have to do a Taylor Swift song. It kept coming up. So we learned Welcome to New York. Now, that's not my favorite of hers. I love a lot of her other stuff much better, but it was pretty good. We practiced it and had it ready, and we walked out to the edge of the stage, and then I was like, nah. Mike was sad that we bailed. He was really into it. We love doing covers, but we have so many original songs. We play Reba once a year, you know? That's bullshit, Trey. You play Reba frequently.
I just annotated a sad face. I don't know if you could see it. It's like a little crying face. Can you see that? I love Reba.
I would like more Rebas, but I feel satiated. I'm satiated with the amount of Rebas that we have. But bring more Reba, please. More Reba. That's a t-shirt. More Reba. I like that one. Honestly, have you ever ever since the iPhone was invented, I feel like there's too much nostalgia. There are a lot of bands doing covers. There's been a shift in our world, not in the hip hop world. That's extremely forward looking. But in our world, there are times when it can feel like looking backward motion. It's become part of the news cycle. Oh, this jam band busts out Metallica. I'm not completely sure what he's saying there, but he says we love doing covers, but there's too much nostalgia. Everybody's like, we've got too much nostalgia. We were looking back all the time, looking back at old photos, looking back at old songs, we're not like looking forward enough. Although he says like hip hop, that's always looking extremely forward. I always go back to this like Chris Rock quote where he's talking about like going to see Prince shows, and he's like, everybody wanted to hear Let's Party Like It's 1999 or Purple Rain, but like all of us like really hardcore Prince fans want to hear the new shit that we've never heard before. And I was like, I get it. That I totally can relate to that. I want to hear the new shit. But at any rate,
what is hip hop without looking backwards for deep cut samples? So honestly, that's this has been a theme of mine, at least in our podcast, is tension. And I don't think there is hip hop and modern shit without the anchor point of the past. So I think I would disagree with Trey on that note.
Yeah, it's all connected, really. You take it over. Still, yeah.
I am not a big Taylor Swift person, though I work in a high school and kids love Taylor Swift. I was at those 7 nights at MSG, and I'm kind of glad they didn't play Taylor Swift because we probably wouldn't have gotten the Reba. So thank you. Or they played A Day in the Life. I think that was Cuckoo Cuckoo. I Am the Eggman. I Am the Walrus. They played that was just super insane. So I
Well,
would rather Beatles than Taylor Swift. Phish Inc.
you heard the thing, the unheard of stat that Taylor Swift played a 13-minute song, unheard of in rock and roll history, right?
Totally.
She's breaking new ground, right? And that's another thing. Like if Phish covered a fucking Taylor Swift song, like what? It's probably was disaster averted.
I'd rather hear Miley Cyrus like Party in the USA or something. I could step. I don't know any modern music, but
really,
whatever.
come
Phish
on,
can do what they want. I'll just sit there bewildered, not knowing what's going on. That's fun. All right. Trey goes on. Still, classic songs are just in our DNA, like Third Stone from the Sun or Mountain Jam or anything else that was on the radio a lot when we were growing up. We were in Los Angeles and we started playing LA Woman by The Doors. And we had not talked about it at all, but we were at the Forum. I was there too. And we were doing a tweezer jam. And suddenly that bass starts going like LA Woman. So I go in with wee on guitar. I look over at Paige and I know all the words. So I start singing it. And Paige starts singing it. And then we go on to the next section of the song. But since we never planned it or practiced it, we fucked it up. Now people think we meant to cover LA Woman and did it badly. So I need to defend myself. We never meant to cover LA Woman. It's just in our DNA. That was a great night.
Yeah. And Third Stone from the Sun is a Hendrix reference, and Mountain Jam is from the Almonds. Okay, old lyrics you can't believe you're still singing. What are some old lyrics you can't believe you're still singing?
Trey says a lot of them. I found a way to accept that voice. It's horrific at times. But I got into all this writing songs when I was really, really young. I had my own record player in third grade, and the first two records were Jackson 5's third album with How Funky Is Your Chicken and the original cast recording of West Side Story. After that came, Disraeli Gears by Cream and whatnot. So I was singing along and writing my own stuff using 4-track cassettes with friends. That was my social life, making early songs written outdoors on someone's front step, just laughing and recording them. So when I sing those early songs, I think about the early friendships in the same way that if I sang Valentine from the Traveler album, which I wrote when I got sober, or something from Ghosts of the Forest, I think about where I was in my life then. Drifting is a song about my wife. These songs are all personal to me, even the I can't believe this ones, like, I don't know, Stash. But I love Stash and the Mango song. And then the interviewer asks, Trey, most requested song you don't always want to play?
Well, sorry for the non sequitur here, but the Ghost in the Forest and the Traveler. I've listened to both these records today because I read this article, and fuck, those records are so good. I think of Trey's solo repertoire. Do you know Traveler by heart?
No, but I have seen
so good.
A number of times. I probably know most of the music, but not like the recording. It's not like riffed in my mind or anything, but
it's up there with one of those albums.
Start to finish, yes, 5,000 times. That album, I'll be honest, that got me through the pandemic on so many days. I had so much grief in my heart, and I would just do long yin yoga sessions, cry my eyes out for the world to Ghosts of the Forest. I love that album so much. Or performance.
And look at about his friend Chris Cottrell, who died. He was a hunter, and he would go hunting moose or elk in the woods, and they would just become ghosts in the forest. They would disappear, and he was like just an old buddy of Trey's. And but I'd have to share this. I fucking love this record, and it's got this really cool iridescent thing on the cover, and you can't see this, Anne, but look at this. This record was $50 with a 70%. I'm lagging, I think.
Wow, you got it on a record. Wow, that's amazing.
I got it for $13. I got like less than. I got it for $13, and it's like a it's a highly coveted record, and this record got me through grief about Mike Hamill's passing, because the last conversation I had with him, he was at Ghost of the Forest, and he was like, dude, I'm in the front row, check it out. And he played like 4 songs. I like watched the first 4 songs of a set, and yeah, that's, and then Trey lost Chris Cottrell and I lost Mike, and that record connects me to him. So anyway, it goes back to that thing that's like, the reason that we're shouting at Divided Sky isn't necessarily for the pause. There's nothing that we're really waiting for. We're only cheering because that's what we do. You know, it's like we all know to do that. It's our thing that we all are connected by.
Well, it's like shouting the void. There's that pause. You're sort of waiting for the ding, but you're not. You're waiting to hear a certain tonality of the void and feel those goosebumps. And for me, I'm always like waiting for a certain volume or like to be moved to participate in the shouting is what I feel in that pause. But it's shouting into the void where all of our people are, where Mike is, where Joe Cahill is, where Seacott is. It's a really cosmic moment. I love it. I love it. All right, where were we?
There's some comments here. Let's just say hello to the comments real quick. Stephen McElwain is leaving some comments here. This is why Phish has to do a Taylor Swift song. Yes. Then no, yes and no. Okay, maybe so, maybe not. They played we played Beatles, Stones, and Dylan songs as a kid on guitar, piano, banjo, mandolin, whatever you could find. Yeah.
Yep.
Totally. 2 people died and nobody cares what happened.
What does that mean?
We're a little lost on that one. Good afternoon. Hey, Paul in my buddy of mine from the in Arkansas. Paul's in not far from Tulsa. Okay. So yeah, is it my turn? Your turn? What do I do here? Most requested song? What do you want to do?
I'll do most requested. You're frozen, Brad. You might want to.
Okay, let me just give me a second.
All right, I'll read while you unfreeze. Most requested song you don't always want to play. Trey says, I'm going to hear about it if I say it. Ugh. Okay, well, I get a lot of requests for Fee, and sometimes I'm just not feeling Fee. I also get a lot of requests for the Mango song, but you need to understand we never in a million years thought any of this would happen. These songs just emerged from our gang. We were just having fun early on at Nectar's. Nectar's, the Burlington, Vermont spot where Phish first earned their following, which is closing for the summer after 50 years. It wasn't a music venue, it was a bar. The first set, the owner would tell us what to play. Play slow one. We'd be doing Mustang Sally and whatnot. Then it was dinner time for the second set. The third set was when our friends came. Now, keep in mind, the drinking age was 18. Vermont was in the last state in the union to raise it. It is so crucial to understanding what happened. We would be there until 1 a.m. All of us were 18, playing this shit, cracking each other up, funny, weird stuff. Sanity never came my way, making up plays, making up game henge. This was crazy town. Then at 2 a.m., we'd pile into the car and go to the quarry and go swimming. There was no let's get a record contract. Never did I think that Meat Stick, I mean, what is Meat Stick? Meat Stick isn't even a song. We were in Germany at a party. The mini bar was cleaned out. I had my guitar. I was making up songs about everything. If you walked in wearing that blue shirt, it'd be blue shirt, blue shirt. So a German sausage. This is great. I didn't know this. So a German sausage was a mini bar. It said beefy, B-I-F-I, beefy meat stick. And I'm like, no more alcohol. Time for the meat stick. We all start answering, time for the meat stick. And we make up a dance.
Time for the meat stick. Time for the
Atamagashak. Then the next thing you know, you are doing it on stage at Madison Square Garden up in a hot dog. So these songs are great, but there are also moments where you feel a real depth of pride and emotions. I don't want to dwell on this. It's only part of the pie. Newer songs like Shade and Leaves and Life Beyond a Dream are more gasp inducing for me now. And then the interviewer says, Brian's song that could have been a hit.
I'm still frozen, I think, but my voice is okay. I'm trying to restart some things and close some things down. I think I'm just like my computer is working hard here. But he says, my mom likes The Connection. That's interesting. Let's say The Connection. That could have been a hit. That definitely could have been a hit. Yes, absolutely. That is a hit. I mean, an unlikely, song to go to the top, but like, I mean, like to break out of the Phish rep, not something that, but that's exactly what a hit would be. Can you give that song to another band and that's a hit for sure?
Maybe Maroon 5.
I don't swim, but I don't. Right, it's just super catchy. Okay, we don't play it backward. We don't play it backwards down the number line. Could be a hit if Taylor Swift covered it, or maybe Waiting in the Velvet Sea. I disagree on all these choices. That could be a hit. Could she make a hit out of Ghost? Could anyone make a hit out of Ghost? Maybe not. Lyrics fans think are inspired by drugs, but actually aren't. Oh, okay. Maybe Fluffhead. But then again, Fluffhead kind of is about getting high. I'm opening a can of worms here, but oh boy. Okay. Let's just say the person I co-wrote Fluffhead with has a very different memory of the song's origin than I do. I don't know if I've said this publicly because this is a man I love very much, Steve Pollock, aka the Dude of Life, who I went to high school with. We were at a Grateful Dead concert in Lake Placid in 1984, and it was a set break, and we were on psychedelic drugs, of course. There's a guy in front of us with a weird hat, had these things on his head. So we were singing along to this made-up song, like we always did, just laughing. Then I went home to add stuff. The opening riff is something that I'd been fooling around with since I picked up the guitar. If you look at it, it's actually very similar to the outro riff, a Starship Trooper by Yes, which I pulled out my Yes record too.
Yes.
When he's sliding a C chord around. That's one of the first things I learned on guitar. I love Steve Howe and Yes. Everything comes from somewhere, right? Now, this is not Steve Pollock's memory. His memory is that we wrote it when his brother was dying of cancer, which, is poignant. But if you listen to it, maybe decide for yourself. Is this something that you would write about that? Fluff came to New York and his mind was so deranged. We were in New York for that concert, so whatever. It's about the people who were laughing. It's about people who were laughing. And the middle part was me sitting at the piano composing for months and months. 9 hours a day of working on Atonal Fugue.
Yes, you got the line right.
For the center of it. All that do. I don't know what he's talking about. I was studying Igor Stravinsky and trying to approach his cross rhythms. Not that it rises to that. That's my memory, but Steve's going to not like this. He's not going to like this. Sorry. Yeah, it's quite funny. And then here's a hilarious. Oh, wait, which camera am I on? Am I on this one? I'm on this one. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, give us the photo. Yeah. They're so cute and young.
Yeah, it's a fun one. I don't know if I can't really show you, but it's just the dudes being silly.
Yeah, we can see that. So it's funny. This is our second moment of the Dude of Life, Steve Pollock, who Dave went out with in the 80s. It's kind of fun.
That's crazy.
Okay. Starship Trooper by Yes. You know that they did this last year. And what's funny is I have been hearing in some of the jams, like I have a pretty active imagination, and I keep hearing Owner of a Lonely Heart in
Owner of a Lonely Heart.
Oh, he's so cute. Brad, you kind of had to look like that at one point. You had a Trey look in the 90s for sure. I have some photos where Brian looks just like Trey.
Oh, that's funny.
But
that's them inducting Genesis to the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Band from Dick's this past year. There is this whole part in there where, in my mind, I was like, they're playing "Owner of a Lonely Heart" by Yes. It's just
that's funny,
and it was so good. Yeah. Okay, Trey, so cute. I gotta find my Brian as Trey photo. You're wearing a little hat. You got the shaggy beard. You're in front of the Volkswagen, orange Volkswagen.
Okay, I want to see that. Yeah.
All right. Weirdest place Trey has heard a Phish song.
Oh, that was mine to ask you. Okay. Is that where is that one? Okay. The organist at the New York Rangers game. He's done Tweezer Refries and also Fluffhead. It's funny though, at restaurants, any song on the radio, I'm always the first to recognize it. I hear one note. That's any major dude will do. Any major dude will tell you.
Yeah.
Or that's Ivy from Evermore. He's throwing out a Taylor Swift song. I'm a
Yeah.
little bit of a junkie, but what's weird is people always have to point out when it's one of our songs. It's some kind of block. Other people have to lead me to it. It's so strange. That's interesting, right?
Yeah,
He can hear other people's songs like in one note. Name that tune in one note, but he can't hear his own songs.
I'll tell you, is a
yeah.
fucking great song. And me and Liza Oxnard has joined the Maydays. I don't know if I told you that, but that is one of our duets. It's such a great freaking song. Really fun to play.
Which one are we talking about?
Any Major Dude.
Oh, Steely Dan. Yeah, that's a good song.
It's like a train. Once it gets going, you got to be on it or you're off. I got to relearn that for the summer. It's a good one. All right.
Okay, so then the interviewer asks, "Show us where fans guided the set list. A show where the fans guided the set list along." That's an interesting question.
For our Casbah Vox Halloween stunt, we debuted a bunch of new songs. In rehearsals, "Say It to Me, Santos" was just another one. Then we saw the reaction. By the second time we played it, just a short while later at Madison Square Garden on New Year's Eve, everyone knew all the words and the place went nuts. We still play it a lot. The thing with Phish is that, I love this, we believe in our audience. I don't know that there's ever been a relationship between a band and an audience like this. The audience are our peers, always have been. It's a conversation. It's sincere. There are no Grammys. It's audience feedback. And Phish fans can be judgmental. When they think it sucks, we know about it. We hear it. But when something connects the second time we play it and everyone is singing along, we're following the audience at that point. Same with What's the Use. I
fucking love What's the Use so much. This is one of my favorite songs.
Yes. That was amazing at the Sphere. Listen to that recording back. It is so crisp. It was so beautiful. Trey says, "I didn't even know what that song was. Then we were watching the audience breathe with it. So we played it even slower next time. I really like the song Snowflakes in the Sand, which Trey Anastasio band played in 1999 and never played it again. Then people kept bringing it up. One guy in particular kept writing to our manager. So finally I played it on the last Tab tour 25 years later, first time played by a band. And only because people told us to. I didn't even remember it existed." Strawberry Letter 23 came from a fan too. I get suggestions from fans a lot. Sometimes at restaurants. Sometimes it's a little aggressive. You need to cover Strawberry Letter 23. But I love Shuggy Otis. It was a good idea. We're all adding ingredients to an enormous bowl of soup.
That's so cool. I mean, Strawberry Letter 23 is. How do you know how does it go? Strawberry Letter 23. Dun, 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 dun. It's something like that, right?
Yeah. It is something like that. It always sounds like the sample from "Sorry, Miss Jackson. This is for real."
That's it. Yeah.
I
think that's so. Yes. And that's like not a song that Phish should cover, right? That's not a song. Oh shit, I'm not on camera. Yeah, sorry. And I just love that they learned it. And it's like they know it for they learned it for Baker's Dozen. It was on Strawberry Night. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there that night. That was great. They also played Strawberry Fields Forever a cappella that night, which was fucking awesome. I'd love to hear that.
I don't need to go back and listen to that. Okay.
Oh, they opened the show with it. It was so good.
Yes. I remember now. Yeah. I remember they opened it now. Yeah.
That was a very fun night.
Okay. How about you ask me this one?
Okay. Let me go back.
Best Mike Gordon and Paige McConnell solo songs to play as Phish. Best Mike Gordon and Paige McConnell solo songs to play as Phish. This is interesting.
Let's hear it, Bri. Let's hear it.
Well, when we come to practice with new material, it's can we try this one? We're at a point now where we have so many songs. So if someone asks for it, we're like, well, if they want to hear it, we'll try it. Last tour, Mike brought Mull and Casual Enlightenment, two amazing songs. And we got the messages back. Lots and lots of people were like, I love that song, Mull. So we're like, oh yeah, okay. Same with Mike's 555. Paige's Most Events Aren't Planned. I love that tune too. Was the same way. We played it, then days later, everyone was like, that one was cool. That's how it works. Next question. A song.
A song, I'll read it. You keep going.
Okay,
song that proves John Fishman's drumming prowess. What does Trey have to say, Bri?
There are different ways to look at what he does. The more composed songs like Drift While You're Sleeping, I was with him while he was sculpting that. Any song like that with lots of section in it, like It's Ice, really shows him off. But then there's the jam song where he cuts loose, like Undermine, which has the flourish at the end that I love, or A Big Down with Disease, where he can get going. Though he can also get into a trance state in those jams, which is cool. I love the altered time signature stuff, like Harry Hood. It's truly awe-inspiring when he's in 7/8 time going gabada, 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 gabada. Thank you. Yeah. He's driving through it like his limbs are disconnected. He's an athlete. No, it's martial arts. Not that I know anything about martial arts, but I've seen The Karate Kid. You've got to get an old man to tell you to paint the fence. Then you can play like John Fishman.
That's funny.
I will talk about John Fishman all day if you let me. I love John Fishman. He was the best man at my wedding. I remember the day we met like it was yesterday. I was in love. It was love at first sight, which is dorky. But I went to his dorm room and he was practicing his drums. Last time I saw him at the Sphere, he was practicing his drums. I thought he was the best drummer in the world in 1984, and it's taken time for the rest of the world to catch up. I love playing with him. I can read his mind. I want to play with him forever. I hope I die first.
Oh,
I know. It's so sweet. It's so endearing. You know, there's like such good buds. That's another reason I just love the fellowship and brotherhood of this band, right?
Yes.
Okay. Best Paige McConnell synths.
Ooh, do I get to read this one?
Yes, please.
Trey says anything off Sigma Oasis, Evening Song, and also Leaves in the song Sigma Oasis. The synth playing is incredible. Now, you need to understand what else Paige does on piano. No Paige, no Fishman, no Phish. Here's the thing. Mike and Fishman do not play the traditional role of bass and drums. Long periods go by where Fishman doesn't hit the downbeat. And Mike exists in his own universe that we all observe. No one knows what goes on in there. Then I'm doing my thing, surging everywhere. Paige keeps it all together. Paige feels like the drummer sometimes with those complex songs like Petrichor, Life Beyond the Dream. He's the rock. Paige holds it all together on the piano. I've seen Fishman sit in with other bands and they can't handle what he does. So he reverts to playing 4/4 and it's like, where's the John Fishman I love? Because someone has to play that. In our band, it's Paige. So he's great with the synthesizers and spaceship sounds. I concur. But he's also one of the last OG rock piano players. Him and Chuck Leavell on tour with the Stones right now, and Bill Payne from Little Feat. Thoughts on that?
I think that's incredibly insightful. That's incredible. You were talking about this the other day. You were talking about the percussiveness nature of the percussiveness nature of the piano, and I didn't think that's an inch because my friends, it was Eric Deutsch, who's now a Black Crow. He was kind of bagging on Paige's piano playing. He was like telling me, which piano players do you like? And I'm like, I fucking love Paige McConnell. And he's like, Paige is good. We didn't really throw any shit in, but he's like, I said, what do you think about Paige? And he's like, he kind of was like, didn't really want to say what he really thought about him. And I was like, oh no, and he just kind of like, he implied that he didn't necessarily have the chops of, who did he just mention here? Anyway, but that's what I mean. I play like that. I kept fucking. I can't play like Paige, but I don't like anything that's like. Blah, 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 blah. Although Paige can do all that stuff, I like watching. We call him Michael and I call him old sausage fingers. Like I like watching him just pounding away as hard as he can on the piano. Is that mean of us?
I don't know. It's
He's the
funny.
chairman of the.
So there's a couple things that stand out now that Trey is like, well, Paige plays the 4/4 rhythmic part. That kind of gets my mind twisted, and I want to think about that and do some listening around that. But when I see Paige's hands, what I am always really struck with is like this little gland.
Yeah.
His hands do things like visually and sort of corporeally that I'm just like, holy shit, man, that's just super crazy.
Well, that's
But
what I'm. Yes, go. Sorry.
but I wouldn't call it sausage. He's more like
No, it's muscles. It's muscle is what we're kind of
yeah.
joking about. It's like Arnold
Musculature.
Schwarzenegger fingers. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think it's pretty interesting to think about. I think it to think. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. I wonder if Deutsch feels the same way at this point. Because
You know who else has fingers like that?
who?
Tom Waits. And Mingus too. Mingus
with
has
like
those.
weird
Yeah,
phalanges at the
they
end.
have that. They play with these like fixed fingers in the
Yeah.
way that like a piano player would tell you, don't you never play like that. Loosen up your fingers. And that's what Deutsch is. You know, he's classically trained. I'm sure Paige is too, but like he probably.
Yes.
Paige might not have been a good student or something because he doesn't quite have. Although he has it, you see him do this every.
Well,
now
I
and again.
mean,
He'll
here's
do.
the other thing, right? The piano being a sort of more organic type of instrument versus all the synth stuff. I mean, you probably have a synthesizer or two at home or a Rhodes piano or something. I have a Rhodes in my classroom actually, which is pretty awesome. A Rhodes organ, but it's a different it's a totally different experience. The keys just go down. Whereas the piano, you got to bang them down. I'm sure that sort of develops
Action.
playing style. Yeah, the action.
Yeah.
Action. All right, let's hear this one. Song that explains what only Mike Gordon can do. You read it, Bray.
What Mike does in jams is his most unique talent. We modulate regularly in these 30-minute jams. We practice it, but it's more for the actual sound. And then I say, Mike, take us around. And we're up a majors and minors. But he does what he does is cool. But what he does that's cool is keep it undefined in the tonal center. Mike doesn't like straight lines. You can hear it a lot in the song Round Room. Songs that remind you of Tony Marcalis, asks the interview. Songs that remind you of Tony Marcalis, who is the bass player in the Trey Anastasio band.
Well, he was.
And this one, yeah, he's passed away. And this one jumps over, Andrea, just the original bass player. It jumps over. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Songs that remind Trey of Tony Marcalis. First two, duh. Plus Sand and God to Jaboo, also duh. Because I wrote those three with Tony and Russ Lawton in 1998. I'm so glad we released the live Trey Anastasio band live album, Burn It Down, because it captured that band so well. That band is changing now, and it's great, but there was a moment there with Tony on bass and James Casey, who also passed away, on sax and vocals. It was 20 years to get there, 20 years of writing songs, and it all started as a trio with me, Tony, and Russ. I thank God we put out that album before two of the band members passed away. It's strange and poignant because the first songs we wrote that first day in Paul Languedoc's garage were First Tube and Sand. And the last song I ever played with Tony on the last show of the Beacon Jams for 8 weeks during on the Beacon Jams was First Tube. If you look at the video, you'll see I introduced the whole band, and I forgot to introduce Tony. He says, "Hey, Trey, who's playing bass back there?" And I was like, "Oh, no." And he's like, "Thanks for the unsolicited introduction." He was such a funny guy. So then we paraded out at the end of the set at the Beacon Theater during COVID, out into the streets. But I knew he wasn't feeling healthy at the time, so he had to sit. He didn't join the parade. But we had our masks on, and I went out into the street, and then I never saw him again.
That's rough. That's really rough.
Those Beacon Jam shows, thank God they all live on YouTube. That was another lifesaver in the pandemic. And I've heard Trey, I wonder if I've read this article before, now that I think about it in retrospect, because I remember this moment where Trey has talked about he went out and then never saw Tony again. I think Tony passed maybe like a month or two later, something like that, which is just, and then James Casey passes maybe about a year or two later, maybe no, 2 years later. God, it's just really crazy. I feel for Trey's heart in these moments where he's telling us these things that are really poignant and vulnerable, and kind of love that about him, don't we?
The Beacon Jams, for anybody who just like doesn't know anything about Phish or Trey, like the Beacon Jams were at the Beacon Theater in New York City right at the height of the pandemic, and the only way that they got everybody together was like they did this like daily testing, and it was a series of about, I don't remember how many there were, like 12 concerts. It's 8 weeks of shows, 8 weeks of shows, and it was like a show every week, and they didn't even know what was going to happen. But the coolest thing, the coolest thing, okay, the Beacon Theater, this beautiful, gorgeous, like ornate, theater with little the press boxes or whatever they are, the
also
special area.
Owned by Jim Dolan of Sphere at Madison Square Garden.
So yeah, in the Beacon, in the MSG family, and they invite Trey, you should come and do something. And so he comes down there, and I don't want to. He talks about it here in a little bit, so I won't say too much. But what they did, because they couldn't have an audience, but they could have personnel, and they turned the freaking stage around, and they all faced the back wall of the stage and put the cameras facing out into the theater, and they totally flipped the script. And so cool. It was and that's just like a metaphor for the entire thing that they did. They rewrote like how you could reimagine a show like happening. It was so interesting, and it was streamed on Twitch, and they did like cool things. And one week the band, somebody got COVID and they couldn't come, and it was like they were improvising it all. And there was the strings. What were the strings called again, Anne?
The Squad.
The one more time.
The Rescue Squad.
The Rescue Squad, who famously
section. It was like sometimes 4, sometimes 8, maybe upwards of 10 people. It was amazing.
The Rescue Squad comes from the previous year's MSG show where Trey got stuck on an unfortunate platform that, like, high in the rafters, that was supposed to drop and didn't drop, and he got stuck on this unfortunate platform, and the Rescue Squad came and rescued him, and that's what he named his string section at the Beacon Jams.
Well, okay. And when the Beacon Jams started, remember there was that funny video of Trey still on the platform.
Oh, fuck, that was so funny.
Has hit. He finally gets down. He looks like Tom Hanks.
He's in the apocalypse.
Whatever that movie is, like he's the newspapers are
Castaway.
No one's in New York City, and his character in his green jumpsuit like walks into the Beacon, and he sees himself playing music.
So funny.
It's amazing. It's just like this wonderful sort of meta commentary. It's just so brilliant and creative. That's really who Trey is, I think.
Yeah, that was a.
You want to read the Beacon Jams?
Yeah, I do. The Beacon Jams, and this superlative here, is the best thing I've ever been a part of. I can't believe it worked. The fact that it was free, that we raised money for a good cause, that we were connecting with people during COVID when no one was allowed to do anything. Plus, we had the large band and the strings and everything. We were the only lit marquee in the 5 boroughs, and we kept the staff employed. The doormen were crying every day. There was so much emotion everywhere. Plus, my daughter was involved, and everyone was on their computers at home. When we played What's the Use with the strings, that's real emotion you are hearing. It's one of the most artistically satisfying things I've ever been a part of.
The end.
Quite powerful. The end, yes, the end. Okay, so the Beacon Jams was a moment in time. That was a wicked moment in time.
I remember that What's the Use in particular because Chris and I were headed up over the Continental Divide to go to our friend Megan Lamon's 40th birthday party. It was the heart of COVID. We had rented a house. We all COVID tested before we got in the cars to go up there. And we were listening through my telephone in the car, and as the what's the use was sort of getting to that highlight moment, the stream went out because we were up over the divide. And I remember going back to listen. I still listen to that. It's such a moving performance. It's so gorgeous.
I can't retain these details. Like it's a little bit disconcerting. Like I don't have the memory for it, and I don't know if it's like brain damage or it's just getting old or it's just the nature of my way of thinking. I remember feeling it, and so there's fleeting glimpses of what's the use. I remember we were talking about that after the show, but I don't remember. I'm not one of these people, but
You should go back
that you can remember it.
Maybe that's your next listen. There's wonderful playlists online of like the best of the Beacon jams. Like they would release a song or two each week on YouTube, and nicely produced or whatever maybe Trey thought was like the hottest jam of the night. But it's really gorgeous. You could definitely go back and check it out.
Yeah, but I always why go back and listen to this? I mean, yes, obviously, but I'm always wanting to I'm not often wanting to go back and dang it, my camera.
That's okay.
This is really annoying. It's really annoying. I think my computer needs to get an upgrade on the computer. Although it's not that old. It's like only a couple years old.
Well,
but it's working hard. I can tell. Yeah.
Working hard. You've got
okay.
What is that? Like a samurai thing that you scooch on out, or like in a record?
Chinese star, yeah.
Yes, I get it. That?
Oh, it kind of looks like one of those record things. Dang it! Now nothing will move. Now I can't change anything.
Just an icon right now. I mean, you are iconic, my friend, and you are an icon currently visually. Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
At
Stop here.
2 hours and 40 minutes with 2 articles to I wonder if we should save these articles for the next time.
I think we should. They're good, but I think we've exhausted ourselves.
Well, it was so nice to have Davey on, but I think that like sort of impromptu time at the beginning is where maybe in our mind's eye we would have given time to these articles, but it was really fun to get him on our podcast.
It was fun. It was nice. Dave Watts, and yes, it's time for I'm fading. Yeah, I'm like that's the other thing, but
yes,
it was fun, and we'll do it again. We can. Yeah, you got to start your day. I gotta get to bed. But these articles that we have waiting for us, they kind of tie back into some of the things that we touched on today. Wasn't expecting that to happen, but it just happened to be that way. So if there was anything that you gleaned from watching this and you want to hear the rest of the story, you should come and listen to this article about the next couple guys. We talked about Trey. Trey is always kind of like the center of attention, and
we're always talking about Trey balls. Yes,
but little bit of everybody else in here, but these next couple articles that we have are like they're kind of featured, and one of them comes at a really interesting time in the band's history. And I tell you, Ann, there's like so much what's the word, like foreboding, is foreboding a noun? There's so much, foreshadowing. Thank you. Foreshadowing.
Foreboding has this kind of like menacing quality, but
exactly.
That part.
No, foreshadowing. Yeah. It happens like all these things that get talked about in the article, they all come to pass, which is really interesting. And I think you'll be like, hey, I didn't know that. I didn't know this either. There was a lot of like sort of little tidbits. I was like, oh, Anne's gonna love this. This is gonna be fun.
Great.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we'll see if I read them before our next jam, but They're printed
Yeah, read
out.
them.
They're printed out. They're ready to go.
And
Right
find
on.
another couple more. Yeah, find a couple more.
I have some. I have a list. So one of the coolest things I got in Mexico at the sticker swap was this wonderful pad that says from the
Oh, my computer's so
of the
frozen. I want to
great
make you big.
Icculus. I love it. If you know, you know. People who got this little pad are probably as happy and psyched as I am to have it. And so now I'm writing my Phish things on it, which is awesome.
Read the fucking book, people. Read the fucking book.
Read the fucking book.
Read the fucking book. I want to say hi to some people here who dropped by.
Yeah, let's last round of comments before we pop off.
There was Nick Fantasy. He says, "What's up?" He's saying hello to GD. He's Grateful Dog. He's saying hi to everybody. He's saying that I have brain damage, which I admit I probably do.
You haven't crashed on your
Paul and
not have brain damage.
No, but I've crashed my brain into lots of crazy things over the years. Yeah, okay, so let's see. 40, you guys are chatting with each other. All right. So 40 Man was in the house. Nick Pantis
love him.
He was in the house. You guys are talking about all kinds of cool stuff. Stephen McElwain was here. Thank you. Am I saying that right? Psycho Platter Paul was here. Paul, thanks for dropping by. Paul is a super knowledgeable. Well, all these guys are super knowledgeable about music, but yeah, if you hang out in the, am I still going? I'm all frozen. I can't even scroll up. Okay, my shit is really, it's really screwed up. Okay, so yeah, I can't do anymore. So I'll just say, yeah, thanks for everybody for cruising in, and it's always like, yeah. I really did. I just ran out immediately there at the end. Great call to wrap this up. I don't think I could have done it. It just came up on me quickly. The computer troubles. I'm sitting here listening to you and trying to like triage, like, okay, fix that. Okay, try to fix that. What's going on? Why is nothing working?
Let's just like breathe deep, long exhale. It's what, like 3 a.m, 3:30 in the morning where you are? Yes, something like that. Yes. All right. Well, it is like almost noon where I am, so I hope you have a pleasant sleep. May you drift while you're sleeping. I'm here with you, and I'm gonna have a great day too. I finished all my classes. I only have final exams left, so I'm going to enjoy my day, and we'll talk again soon. We'll be back for another installation when computer can host us without glitching.
Yeah, it's time to upgrade. I mean,
well, you
maybe by next week.
Double duty today. I saw that you and you were on the dog log, and so
yeah, I did like quadruple duty. I was working my ass off all day today on stuff. So yeah, it's time. I need to ride the wave. It's time to. Although I did take a nap. To my defense, I did have a nice Saturday afternoon nap. So don't judge me too much. I did have a nap. All right, Ann. Lots of love. Hey, hello to the gang.
Happy to hang out with you. I love you.
Love you too. Speak soon,
friends.
Okay, bye everybody. See you.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.